20-year career with the Los Angeles Lakers. He made history with his raw talent and unparalleled dedication that raised the bar and paved the way for a newer generation of players. Their condolences go with his family, friends, colleagues. Fan taken too soon. Of course, he will be very missed.
So we're just past the bottom of the hour. We do want to let you know there is a 2 o'clock press conference set up from near the scene of this crash where Kobe Bryant, his daughter, one of her basketball teammates and that teammate's parent, as well as the pilot of this Sikorsky helicopter, went down near Calabasas, just outside. And we will bring that to you live in just about 28 minutes. As soon as that comes up, we will bring that to you live. The outpouring continues to come in. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Laker legend from the Showtime era, writing, most people will remember Kobe as the magnificent athlete who inspired a whole generation of basketball players, but I will always remember him as a man who was much more than an athlete, and posted a video in number 33 Lakers sweater, and it's about 1:40 long. We're going to turn that around for you and bring it to you in just a little bit, but this is a Los Angeles tragedy. This is a Laker legend who passed, but also we were talking earlier about how basketball transcends the United States, and this is a worldwide culture. People are seeing this. Billions of people are seeing this around the world and reacting to it. And mourning. I think we have to understand that the entire world right now, one of the most popular athletes of our time, is gone at 41 years of age. And basketball is one of the most global sports, if not the most global sport. You think of soccer, but I mean, it is just expanding in China and other countries overseas, and Kobe was a huge figure in that. And like we said earlier, he's been doing work in China, he's been doing work in other countries, he's lived in other countries. This is devastating among the entire world. This is a huge hole, I think, that will stay in the sport of basketball. I'm not sure how long this will go on for with just the impact it's had. It will be a forever hole, I think, in the sport. Everyone will look back and say, you know, thank you, Kobe. We love you, Kobe. I think this will be in the sport forever. I don't think Kobe's name and impact will be forgotten for hundreds of years. Look at where Magic is, where Kareem is, where all these former players are. The world has been robbed of what Kobe Bryant would have done over these next 40, 50 years. And he was just starting that legacy right now. Like I said, building his new Kobe Mamba gym, teaching his daughter and being a coach to his daughter's basketball teams. Who knows? And he just said last week, and I respected him so much for coming out and saying this, but he was so vocal last week in saying that he believed that women should someday play in the NBA. And I truly believe that when he said that, he believed that and he meant that he cared not only for the sport, but he wanted to see it grow, and he wanted to include other people. He wanted to include females. He had such a vision for the NBA and believed that it could be bigger than what it is now. And I tell you, it is growing rapidly. Kobe would have had such a huge impact on that, and expanding and opening sports fans' eyes to new things that we could never imagine. One of those being a female playing in the NBA. And how remarkable would that be? And Kobe truly believed in that. And I think he was a voice that stood up for things he believed in. I think he wasn't shy to talk about the ventures and things that he wanted to do in the future. Last week when we spoke, someone even asked him, would you be interested in become a team owner? And he said he's had a few different opportunities come across his desk, nothing that really caught his eye. But I think we can just imagine the many things and opportunities that Kobe would have had, and the way he would have changed the world would have just been remarkable. So we do want to let fans know who are, I'm sure, mourning at home, thinking about where can we go to mourn his death. So at the scene, there are people who are showing up, but Las Virgenes Road is closed. You can imagine it's very congested over there at the crash site. And also, tragically, at the Staples Center, the Grammys are going to be held tonight, and the LAPD is letting people know that the entire area around the Staples Center is shut down because of the Grammys, and so fans cannot go there. But we do know that at 5 p.m. tonight, there's going to be a vigil at the Project Islamic Hope. That's going to be at 4305 Degnan Boulevard. There's going to be a candlelight vigil in Leimert Park in memory of Kobe. So if you're thinking about a place that you want to go, that may be the best option tonight.
We do have reaction from fans, and we want to hear what so many people are saying.
I was in the church, but I heard a helicopter. It sounded very loud, like it was very low, and it was just like thup, 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 and it just like just stopped. And I was kind of trying to convince myself that I didn't actually hear something like that, but then I started hearing sirens, and I went to take a look, and I realized that a helicopter had crashed into the hill across the street.
And all of a sudden we heard sort of a sputtering of an engine, and then a few seconds later we heard a boom, and just kind of hoped that they were unrelated, but followed up on Twitter and saw that there was a helicopter crash.
Everyone I've called since, like, we're all in shock because Kobe Bryant was a guy who was never going to die, right? I mean, this was a legend. This is a person that if you said Kobe Bryant to somebody in China, if you said Kobe Bryant to somebody in India, in Russia, in Japan, all over the world, you knew who that was.
And of course, ESPN,
Ramona
right
there.
Who dealt with him on a daily basis.
I remember, I think the first time I ever saw Kobe outside of that mall incident that we had when we were younger in 7th grade. But Ramona, I remember the first time I ever saw Kobe Bryant. Ramona was interviewing him, and Ramona does such a great job with ESPN, but has a personal relationship with Kobe. And Kobe, whether he was with his family or his wife, or he was just trying to enjoy a Sparks game, which he attended many times, he would always take time to stop, shake hands, whether it was with a reporter, someone who worked at Staples Center. He was never too big for anyone. He was never too important, too famous. Kobe, as I said earlier, so kind, one of the kindest athletes I've ever been fortunate enough to cover, took time for the people. And I think he understood that his impact was greater than just being a superstar basketball player that will transcend the game. He was a human being who really cared about the daily interactions with people, whether that was a reporter, whether that was someone like me, someone that he played with. I'll never forget just watching him go at Staples Center from person to person to person to take his time to chat with people. You don't find that too often in sports, and you don't find that too often with superstars. When those kind of athletes are being pulled in every which direction, people always want a piece of them. People always want to talk to Kobe and take pictures with Kobe. He never turned away from the things I saw. He always embraced his fans. He embraced his friends, his teammates. He was just proud of what he built, and just proud to show this to his next generation, to his family, to his daughters. We saw him many times this season coming to Laker games and bringing his daughter Gigi, who is an up-and-coming basketball player, and sitting there. And one of the most amazing and special videos was just a couple of weeks ago when he sat courtside with Gigi at a Lakers game, and he was showing her plays, and he was pointing at the players and teaching her, this is what you do in that situation, watching the game with her and standing there with his knowledge. That, can you imagine how valuable that is for a young superstar, young 13-year-old basketball player to watch Kobe and to have the game broken down right there with him. And the way Kobe interacted with young players, he was always just so proud of the next generation. He has always been so open with, I hope my records get broken. I hope that there are players that come after and do what I did, if not better. Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks stopped last week and took time to go over to Kobe and shake his hand at a Laker game. And Kobe even spoke Luka's native language to him. Yeah. And Kobe was just, I tell you, jack of all trades. He was so knowledgeable, so incredible, but so personable that he even took a little bit of time to learn the language that Luka spoke and wanted to chat with him in it, and made a little joke. And when LeBron would come over, he would stop, they'd give a handshake. When he'd see a young player come over, they would stop and give a handshake. And the last tweet that Kobe Bryant ever tweeted was his praise towards LeBron James. LeBron James last night passing Kobe's record for third on the all-time scoring list. Kobe was third last night until LeBron scored and passed him on that list. And instead of sitting there and being quiet or just saying, hey, congratulations, Kobe was overjoyed. And you can see that in the tweet that he wrote. And he was proud of what LeBron James and this Lakers team were building. we talked about that last week, how excited he was and the potential he thought that this young team had.
Yeah.
He believed in LeBron James, he believed in Anthony Davis, and he believed in the bench that they had with him. And he really, truly believed that this team would be able to do a lot of different things. He was never jealous or bitter that maybe someone would be better than him or have a bigger career. He always knew, and you get into those debates of who's the greatest of all times. Right. He wanted no part of that. He always knew that everyone was different. Every player had different games. LeBron's such a different kind of player than Kobe. You couldn't compare the two. But it's really special when you see a superstar like that with so much pride, so much tenacity, so much focus, and really, you see him play. There was nothing like it. Championships on championships. But he was happy for the people that followed in his footsteps. LeBron James told a remarkable story I have to share last night on the air on our Slam Dunk show. LeBron passing Kobe last night for third all time. And when he was 17 to 18 years old, he was in high school playing in a high school championship in Philadelphia. And Kobe invited LeBron to come to his hotel and chat, because we knew that LeBron was going to be the next big thing. He was going to, like Kobe, skip college and go play in the NBA. And Kobe gave him his size 14 sneakers and said, I want you to have these. And LeBron said last night, I'm a size 15, Kobe's a size 14, but I put those shoes on and I played my next game in those shoes. That probably cramped his foot, that probably hurt like heck. But Kobe wanted LeBron to have those shoes, and he said, you don't know what that meant to me. Meant the world.
And they're only 6 years apart.
Which is,
you know, they feel like they played in different eras almost.
Yeah.
But only 6 years apart, and of course they played against each other. You talk about Kobe being from Philadelphia. We were lucky enough for Los Angeles to be able to claim Kobe, but Philadelphia is also in mourning today as well. That's where he's from. Lower Merion was the school that he played at. There are press conferences happening in Philadelphia right now reacting to this scene. One of the coaches from Lower Merion, the Aces, said that the Aces Nation has lost its heartbeat. We know how Kobe transcended sports. They posted a picture up at the Pro Bowl, which is happening right now in Hawaii, with a picture of Kobe saying 1978 to 2020. And obviously with social media being as it is today, a lot of these fans already knew about it, but perhaps many did not, paying attention to what was happening on the game. They said that word had spread on the sidelines of the Pro Bowl during the game.
How could it not?
Kobe transcended basketball. He was a superstar among all sports, among all athletes. And
you see
said
that on
a Kobe
social
chant
media.
broke out at the Pro Bowl once that went up on the big board.
We do want to give an update on the investigation. As expected, the National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, they are sending their GO team, and in fact, they're going to be there at the crash site by this evening. And so we can expect also the FAA, they'll be investigating to see exactly what happened. We don't know at this point, but we do know that it was really foggy this morning. There was a marine layer that came in. In fact, Air 7HD, our helicopter, had a difficult time getting up last night and this morning because of the fog. We don't know if that's a factor. Could be anything at this point, but the NTSB is going to be there. Their GO team is going to be at the crash site by this evening.
Yeah, helicopters are exponentially more dangerous to fly in terms of crash rates than airplanes. And a lot of that has to do with where helicopters fly. Airplanes get up into higher elevations, into the airspace where there are fewer hazards to fly at. Helicopters are constantly flying at lower elevations where there are countless more hazards. You talk about bird strikes, drones, telephone lines. There are
helicopters?
3 major areas of helicopter crashes, and it's pilot error, mechanical error, or electronic error. Of course, that's going to be the beginning of the NTSB, the FAA, once they begin their investigations of how this happened. But it is not unusual to hear stories. I think it's something like 7.5 out of every 100,000 hours of flight time, which, that sounds like a lot. You look at airline travel, and it's something, a fraction, 0.015, something in that range. So you're talking about 7.5 out of 100,000 versus 0.01 something.
Right.
Airplane versus helicopter. But again, a lot of that is circumstantial. It's like the stat that most of the accidents happen within 5 miles of your home because you spend most of the time within 5 miles of your home. So it is a dangerous thing. not inherently to fly a helicopter, but there are so many more risks involved when you go up in a helicopter.
And
like
Kobe,
that.
he traveled everywhere pretty much
Yeah.
by helicopter.
Yeah.
He wanted to be at the top of his game, and that's what he said. That's the reason why he would take his helicopter right to a nearby hotel, land on top, and then go straight into the Staples Center. And we know that last night he was coaching his daughter Gigi's tournament over in the Valley, and then, of course, heading past Calabasas, taking another player of his daughters and their parent, and that pilot, of course. And if you've ever been in a helicopter and you watch a pilot as they maneuver a helicopter, they're thinking about so many different things, not only as they're going up, but they're also communicating with all the other helicopters. And in an area like Los Angeles, there is a lot of air traffic, not only with planes, but also with other helicopters, because there are a lot of people who have private helicopters who, want to avoid traffic. So there's so many different
It's not
factors
regulated the same way that airplane traffic. Just having gone up a few times in Air 7 HD, they can basically go wherever they want. There is restricted airspace, but if you want to fly over the Hollywood sign or if you want to fly over downtown, you just go. That's just how it works, and it's just a matter of getting from point A to point B without flying through any restricted airspace. They have a lot of leeway to do this, and if you're coming up over one of the ridges in fog like this, things can go wrong. The NBA Players Association releasing a statement today, writing, "We are stunned and devastated by the news of the sudden passing of Kobe Bryant. Words cannot express his impact on our players, the NBA, and the game of basketball. This is a monumental loss for the entire basketball community, and our hearts are quite simply broken. We send love and prayers out to his wife, Vanessa, and the entire family." And the family, of course, down two members today, tragically losing Kobe Bryant and 13-year-old Gianna, his daughter, one of 4 daughters.
You guys were both talking about his contentious relationship with Shaq, which, of course, I'm sure blossomed into a beautiful friendship at some point. He just tweeted 1 minute ago. He says, Shaq says, "There's no words to express the pain I'm going through with the tragedy of losing my niece, Gigi, and my brother, Kobe Bryant. I love you and you will be missed. My condolences go out to the Bryant family and the families of the other passengers on board." And then in all caps, he says, "I'm sick right now."
And that's, I think, the sentiment of the entire basketball world. But can you imagine those players that put on their jerseys day in, day out with Kobe? Kobe was the leader of that team. Kobe taught the younger players certain things in their game, I'm sure, as Shaq would say, so many different things in his game. And so for all of those players who lived side by side with him every day in that locker room, every day on that court, you can't imagine the stunning hole that this leaves in so many hearts of his dear teammates and the Lakers organization as well. I mean, you just think that this was the face, truly, of Lakers. And the Lakers, no doubt, I think there's an argument of who is the leader of sports in Los Angeles. Is it the Dodgers? Is it the Lakers? I would always say it's the Lakers. You go anywhere in this town and you see Lakers gold and purple. And when you think Lakers, who do you think of? I've thought Kobe Bryant. And I think so many would say the same. And we showed video there of his jersey retirement that was back in 2017. Kobe got 2 jerseys retired. That was his legacy, that Kobe played in the number 24 jersey and he played in the number 8 jersey, and he had such a great impact that they couldn't choose one number because he did so many unbelievable things.
I mean, has
in
that
both
ever
of
happened?
those numbers.
No.
Truly, I've never seen anything like that. We just spoke last night on Slam Dunk. We were talking about, it's so crazy. We were just talking about his 62-point game in 3 quarters and his 81-point game. And we tried to compare which one was bigger and which one was better. How do you even think that you would see something like that again from such a superstar who had such a long career, who overcame so many difficult injuries? His Achilles injury, which some people never come back from. Kobe fought through so many different things and still did things we've never seen on a basketball court. I remember Norm Nixon saying last night that the 62 points in 3 quarters and to sit out that last 12 minutes of the game, the Dallas Mavericks didn't even stand a chance in that game. And Kobe single-handedly manhandled a full team. But that's what he did. And that's who Kobe was as a player.
Selfishly
stayed in
fought
the game.
to stay in the game.
Absolutely. If he wanted to, he could have done anything, truly. And we saw that in his final game where he kept getting the ball and he kept putting it up and he kept draining shots and everything he put up went in. But what Kobe did, I truly believe we will never see again in the sport. He has a legacy that will leave a far greater impact than here in Los Angeles, here with the Lakers. It will be a worldwide emptiness we feel with Kobe's passing.
And you have to wonder whether the NBA will do something, perhaps retiring his jersey at some point league-wide. You have to imagine they will do something. We are less than 10 minutes away from an expected press conference from near the site of the crash of this helicopter that has cost the life of Laker legend Kobe Bryant. In the meantime, we do want to get around to some of the reaction that has been coming in from around the NBA, from around the sports world, and really around the world itself. We've seen so many politicians and emissaries. This is Dwayne Wade, just another legend of basketball, but also a person who really appreciated the personality of his fellow athletes and competitors, writing no. God, please, no. A lot of denial from many of us. This is Dr. Pat Soon-Shiong. This is I believe, the owner of the LA Times, writing, unspeakably sad. Gigi is with Kobe. Please pray for Vanessa and family. And Dr. Pat Soon-Shiong says, heartbroken and numb, please pray for Vanessa and the children. Rest in peace, Kobe. We will all miss you so much. Again, the same sentiment, tweet after tweet. Paul Gasol says, beyond devastated. My big brother, I just can't believe it. And his brother Mark playing right now, having to go on. Mark Gasol reportedly brought to tears in the middle of a game. The show must go on, as they say. It's hard. It's hard. Despite the fact that Kobe is not even an active player, hasn't been for 4 years. You look at the reaction of players right now, and it's as if he was still playing and still impacting everyone's life on the court. I spoke with Anthony Davis about 2 weeks ago. It's funny, I think it was a Tuesday night. I did a one-on-one with Anthony Davis, superstar of the Lakers right now. The next day I went to the Bank of California Stadium and got to do a one-on-one with Kobe. And Anthony Davis then, even speaking about his inspiration and where he grew in his game and who he learned from, he said Kobe Bryant. To him, there was no one greater and no one had a greater impact in his success as a superstar player than Kobe Bryant. The superstars of this league looked up to Kobe because Kobe was everyone's superstar. Absolutely. Ashley, we're going to head out now to Josh Haskell. He is at the site of the press conference that's about to happen here. He's going to give us a little update. Josh, what are you hearing? What can we expect?
Well, we're about 1.5 miles from the crash site here at the Lost Hills Sheriff Station. We're waiting for Sheriff Villanueva to arrive, and I'm told some other folks with the Sheriff's Department. And just to give you a sense of the scene as media showing up, and we do expect to learn more about how the Sheriff's Department responded to this crash and what they can tell us. A Sheriff's deputy looked at me and said, I'm having a hard time with this man. I'm a Laker fan too. And that is what I've been experiencing all morning, what I myself am experiencing. When I showed up to the crash scene, about 500 people were scattered in that one area across the street on Las Virgenes. People in Lakers jerseys, people just pouring their hearts out, telling me that they had to see this for themselves. They had seen the tweets, they had seen our stories, they had seen our coverage, but they just could not believe it. And they went and saw that plume of smoke up on the hillside here. So we're at the Lost Hills Sheriff Station. We expect an update. We will bring that press conference to you live as we await a few more people to arrive. I would say it's unlikely that this starts right at 2, but of course we will stay here. We are here and we will bring you the latest. But guys, just to give you a sense of what I'm feeling in this area here, you have a few of the roads that are shut down and traffic. I had a difficult time just getting here. I had to park about 1/2 mile from the crash site and walk just because people that live in the area, people that don't live in the area were just pouring in, had to see this for themselves, and then sharing stories about Kobe. Just so many people in shock over this incident. It's tough, and when fans hear about this, they just want to be there. They want to be a part of it. They felt like Kobe was a part of their life for so long that they just want to be there. Josh, I'm guessing there are outlets from all over. It's going to take some time to get people there, but just beyond the normal Los Angeles outlets that you're seeing setting up for this press conference. Yeah, we're going to give you a quick pan right now of what things look like. There was a scramble, as you can imagine, from that crash scene about a mile and a half from where I am. There's about 25 to 30 reporters here now, print and broadcast journalists, as people are just waiting for updates. And we're also waiting for Sheriff Villanueva to arrive, as we're told that he will partake in this press conference. And just to give you a little bit more of a sense of where we are at the Lost Hills Sheriff Station, again, we're a mile and a half from the crash scene. We're about 13 miles from Newberry Park in Thousand Oaks, where we believe that that helicopter was headed for that basketball camp. So that just gives you a sense right now as we approach the 2 p.m. hour, and we will get more details. We don't expect someone from the FAA to be here this soon. We know that takes time from the NTSB. We know they are investigating, but the Sheriff's Department is, at this point, has basically shut down the whole area. I talked to some people that tried to hike up there, and they said there were officers everywhere and they couldn't get close to the crash scene. As I just reported, Las Virgenes is shut down, and right now it's just filled with Kobe Bryant fans and shocked Angelinos that this is what they're having to deal with and process on a Sunday morning, now Sunday afternoon.
Josh, I think you're right when you say that the press conference is probably not going to be starting exactly at 2, but we're going to check back in with you as soon as it does. I'm assuming that outlets from all over the country are trying to make it there to hear what the sheriff and others have to say. And Jory and Ashley, I just want to bring in the fact that the next game, the next scheduled game, we don't know if it'll be canceled, but the Lakers are expected to play the Clippers on Tuesday.
Right.
Both LA teams, I mean, just wow, that's timing.
And it will be eerie, in a sense, to once again walk into Staples Center and know that that is the place where Kobe's legacy will forever be remembered. He was a Laker only. He was a Laker his whole life, his whole career. When you walk into the Lakers, you see the purple and gold. That's Kobe. That's what we remember. And it's the last place we saw him play. It's the place we saw him break records, win championships, become an 8-time All-Star, 5 championships. It's stunning to think that that is Kobe's home. It's where he felt most at home. It's where he poured all of his life and his energy and his blood, sweat, and tears out. That's where Kobe was injured and fell on the court when he rolled his Achilles tendon. One of the most painful injuries in sports. Kobe gave everything to the sport, and he gave everything to the Lakers. And so for this team to continue to represent his name, the number 24, the number 8 legacy, what Kobe did on that court is just something. I say it and I can't keep saying it over and over. We'll never see that again. Yeah. These players will continue to try to make him proud and to try to continue that legacy. We will see this for years and years and years of Kobe's name living on at the forefront of this team, at the forefront of the NBA. But truly, I can't imagine this organization, the Buss family, who loved Kobe and who raised Kobe. You have to think, Kobe was raised by basketball. He did not go to college. He was too good to go to college. He went straight from high school in Philadelphia and took the leap of a lifetime to go at 18 years old and to play in his first NBA game as a Los Angeles Laker at 18 years of age.
I mean, he was barely 18.
Barely.
His birthday is in late August. So you're basically talking about a 17-year-old who goes from high school to the NBA. You think about how young he is. 41 years old. He's been retired from the NBA for 4 years already, and he's still only just 41.
You have to think basketball was his life. It was everything to Kobe. It was everything to him. And since then, he stepped aside, his family number one of all of it. But if you really could put family first, basketball very close second.
We are approaching the top of the hour here at 2 o'clock. We are expecting that 2 o'clock press conference, which may take some time to get to. At some point, we're going to be going to an ABC News special report. We are expecting that to happen within mere moments. But again, just to reset, if you are just joining us, Kobe Bryant, Laker legend, basketball legend, dead at the age of 41 in a helicopter crash this morning. His 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, was on board at the time. She perished as well. 3 other people were on board, a teammate of Gigi's, that teammate's parent, and the pilot of this helicopter.
Yes, absolutely. So we may be cutting in, as Dory said, into that ABC News special. We might be sticking around and going to the press conference. We should know here in a couple of moments, but we will also be, of course, on digital, updating all of our social media pages as soon as we get more information, because this investigation is still very much in the early stages. We're still waiting to get confirmation on the other 3 identities of those who perished, and also what exactly caused this crash. We know that the NTSB, they're on their way. They're not going to get there until this evening. But the scene site, the crash site really around that area, Josh was saying, is completely shut down. But fans are flocking to that area. Fans also flocking to the Staples Center, which is shut down because of the Grammys.
Right.
So if you're sitting at home, we've mentioned this before, but if you want a place to go, if you need a place to mourn, at 5 o'clock at Leimert Park, there's going to be a candlelight vigil. So that's probably the best location for people to assemble and gather and just think about Kobe Bryant.
Word now that press conference has been pushed back to 2:30, so another 29 minutes before we're going to hear from authorities. The NTSB is on their way to the scene. They have their emergency response team not expected to arrive until tonight. On the side of our screen, an intermittent between highlights of the greatness of what we've been able to see from Kobe Bryant over his 20-year career are shots from Air 7 HD of the crash scene. The debris field is expansive. A helicopter compared to an aircraft, fixed-wing airplane, is a relatively small vehicle. The debris field is rather wide. It is vast, and it looks like the impact that this helicopter had on the ground was it was traveling at a high rate of speed. We heard one bystander say they heard the engine failing as it made its way down. Those are some of the things that the investigators are going to look at, whether this was pilot error, whether this was something wrong with the helicopter, or whether they encountered some kind of debris, if it was a bird strike, if they wound up hitting some power lines. There was fog in the area. Many people woke up this morning or last night to see that we had been socked in with fog, making for dangerous flying conditions, or whether there's also the possibility in this day and age that it was a drone. We mentioned earlier, Air 7 HD was struck by a drone just weeks ago, and experts say if it had been an inch to the side, it would have been a catastrophic incident, and it would have crashed.
And we just cannot overemphasize how dangerous it is for helicopters to fly in the fog. Air 7 HD couldn't get up last night because of the fog, and could not get to the scene immediately this morning because of the fog. So that marine layer is certainly going to be a point that the NTSB will be looking at, something that could potentially be a cause. But there are so many different factors when it comes to plane and helicopter crashes that we just still don't know. And so hopefully we'll get some more information at that 2:30 press conference. It was supposed to be at 2, but it's been pushed back for about a half an hour. But we are expecting hopefully some more information.
And we are getting some more news right now. Ashley Brewer has
from the
news.
Orange County Register is reporting that there is a gathering right now at Orange Coast College for John Altobelli, who was an OCC baseball coach, and he was the other father in the helicopter with Kobe Bryant. So John Altobelli, an Orange Coast College baseball coach, we believe he is, according to Orange County Register, the other man in the helicopter alongside Kobe Bryant.
24 seasons as head coach at Orange Coast College baseball. He has a son, JJ, who had a baseball career as a player and a graduate assistant. He has daughters Alexis and Alyssa, and so if that report winds up being it is one of those daughters, Alexis or Alyssa, who was on board the helicopter with Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna. The tragedy continues. It spreads and hits another family here in Southern California. Another school, another community, the baseball community and the basketball community now struck by this.
My brother's a baseball agent, and he said this man was a huge presence in the sport of baseball in Orange County. And this is a stunning loss now in 2 sports. This is about 2 families, among many others, and everyone who was impacted by this crash. But now we have 2 parents, 2 loving daughters who are lost in this accident. It is devastating beyond words. All the tweets you see on Twitter right now is, I can't believe this is happening. Is this really happening? And I think that is truly the sentiment of the world right now. How did we lose our hero? And how did we lose another super presence of Orange County and Orange County baseball? It is hard to put into words, this kind of loss and the impact it'll have on the Orange County community, on the impact it'll have in sports and worldwide.
Yeah, John Altobelli actually received his master's degree from Azusa Pacific while he was having his baseball career, has coached all over baseball, began in the Cape Cod Summer Leagues and made his way out to Southern California, where he has coached at Orange Coast for 24 years.
Wow. My brother told me that his son is a scout in baseball, so it's a family sport, it's a family business for them. I can't imagine the amount of athletes that he has coached and that have been impacted and are who now devastated by this news. To lose a coach and to lose someone who impacted your personal life and your baseball career, his poor daughter who is with him, these two young girls. You have to think about two 13-year-old girls who had the world ahead of them.
Of course.
13 years old.
Still definitely waiting on that confirmation, if the daughter was in fact on board. But we do know that Kobe Bryant was coaching a tournament at his daughter's game. We know Gianna was on board, and so we can just assume that potentially her teammate, another girl, was on board.
But John Altobelli, according to Orange County Register, was the father accompanied in the helicopter.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, the spotlight, Kobe Bryant just shines a lot of attention. Most of the attention is going to be on him, but this is another family that was affected who lost two members. 2 of 5 in this family. And the baseball community in Orange Coast, the baseball community of Southern California loses a legend, 24 seasons at the same school. He was a rock there. And so we don't want to forget that there are more victims. The pilot itself, another member of someone's family
who we don't know
who has been lost, who won't be coming home tonight. And you think about these family members, you think about those on board the helicopter. It must have been a terrifying and a worse way to go. You know, we all think about it. Anytime we take a trip like this, you think about the worst case scenario. And it's just devastating to think about.
And we're also learning that Kobe Bryant and Gigi, they were actually headed to play their 2 p.m. game at the Mamba Sports Academy against a team from Fresno. And Kobe was going to be coaching this game today. You got to think about the teammates of those girls. I'm assuming this game has to be absolutely canceled. There's no way. You got to think about all the classmates of these young girls.
Yeah. The NBA, meantime, continues to play. There was a tribute at today's, I believe it was the Raptors game. I think we have tape of that right now.
They have decided that whoever wins the tip, and in this case Toronto, they are going to let the shot clock run out because of the number 24 to honor Kobe Bryant. Fitting. Appropriate. Is Fred VanVleet holding on to it, and the crowd recognizing what this means. Sean, how did these guys play?
I don't know. You tell me. It'd be tough for me in this situation.
We've been told the NBA is planning or has canceled some of the games this evening. And DeJounte Murray will do the same. The 24-second shot clock, of course, Kobe Bryant, number 24. Fans recognize that through chanting Kobe, and now the game will actually begin.
God, I have chills.
It's just poignant. You know, basketball is a game. It's a business, but it's also a game. And certain things are you can see through competition how much he means to those he fought against on the court.
I think that his opponents were the first ones to praise Kobe. I think after all of his games, you would hear guys, when they would be asked about what is it like to play against Kobe, what is it like to see what he's able to do on the court, it was history, as we said, in the making. The things that we were able to see Kobe do, other people stopped and would say, wow. It was truly a remarkable talent that is of a lifetime. You don't see something like that in any other player for a very long time. He was always very quick to say, I'm not like LeBron, I'm not like Michael, we're all different. But I can tell you, his teammates, his competitors, all recognized this is the greatest of all time. He has done things that it just isn't human. The things he was able to do, it just expanded beyond the sport. It was truly amazing.
Appropriate that they use the 24-second shot clock
Yeah.
to honor Kobe Bryant, number 24. You wonder if the NBA might do something with that to honor Kobe Bryant, whether we'll see a trophy renamed in Kobe's honor. I mean,
it will be
lasting.
It will be everywhere. We will see statues, we will see banners, we'll see tributes, and it won't just be in 2020. This will be for years to come. This is a player who has changed the game through what he did on the court. He set so many records. As we said just last night, LeBron passed Kobe for third time on the all-scoring list. But the games he played, the 81-point game, the 62-point game in 3 quarters.
18 NBA All-Star appearances, 5-time champion.
It's remarkable. It's hard to put into words the impact he had on the game, the impact he had on his teammates, the players. As we heard Shaq just say, I am numb. And I think that is all of us today.
20 seasons, 18 of them All-Stars. He had the season he missed for injury.
Injuries.
Yeah, so you think about basically 19 out of 20, or 18 out of 19 making the All-Star game. He was a legend.
5 championships.
Right.
For one player to win 1 championship is life-changing.
Right.
And
Kobe won 5.
And he won the first one without Shaq. Was a big deal for him because the knock on Kobe was that he couldn't win without Shaquille O'Neal, and Shaquille went on to win more championships, went to Miami and was really good there as well. And being able to do that with Pau Gasol, teaming up with another superstar and proving that he could do this without Shaquille O'Neal. And it was basically the 2 eras of Kobe, right?
Absolutely.
Young Kobe
the
and
8
older
and
Kobe.
The 24.
Yeah.
And you saw really within the last 5 years of Kobe's career, he didn't have a supporting cast. Really after those final championships he had in the early 2010s, after that it was really Kobe trying to make things work with Dwight Howard and Steve Nash and these young players and some of the great players that came from other teams to want to play with Kobe. He struggled to really find rhythms in those last 5 years with some of his new teammates, and he dealt with injuries, but that final game of his career truly, I think, just spoke to Kobe could do anything at the age that he was playing at, his later 30s. He was still in incredible shape that I think 21-year-olds would say, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I think what stuck out to me is when you said that he would show up for, before the game for practice at 4 or 5 in the morning and not understand why other players weren't there. I mean, that just shows, even at the end, he really gave it his all.
Everything.
100%.
He played on Team USA countless times, and one of the great stories told about him was that he would, when they were traveling and playing in different Olympic games, everyone's jet lagged, everyone's going out and partying at nighttime and doing events and doing different things. Kobe's focus was on winning. Kobe's focus was on performing at the peak performance. He would show up in the gym sometimes 4 to 5 hours early when guys were struggling to get into practice, guys were sleeping in. It was in Kobe's DNA to do nothing other than to play basketball.
Yeah.
All he wanted to do was be the potential Kobe Bryant that we ultimately saw, but he reached his max potential. I can't imagine him doing any more.
Yeah, and he could retire.
What he
could retire knowing he squeezed every bit of energy and talent that he could out
all
of his body.
His potential.
To the point where at times his body would break down, and that's why we saw that. We have our reporters fanning out to Staples Center, where fans are showing up, and the Grammys are being held tonight. Several reporters at the crash scene and waiting for that press conference at 2:30 to get an update from the LA County Sheriff's Department and responding authorities as to what they knew, what they responded to this morning. In the meantime, the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, writing thoughts and prayers to the family of Kobe Bryant and those who lost loved ones in today's tragic crash. Rest in peace. This is a worldwide tragedy.
Yeah, it's going to be felt by, it is being felt by people all around the world. You know, as we said, he lived internationally as well, and his reach is international. The NBA's reach is international. And let's not forget, after he retired, he went on to win an Oscar. There was nothing this man couldn't do. He opened up, as you said, that Mamba facility. It was just one thing after the other. And then just last week, Ashley, you were talking to him. He's an investor in body armor.
That was one thing I said this earlier, but we would often joke about. I would run into Kobe in Orange County, and I would run into him at sporting events, and I would say, "What's the newest thing? What are you working on now?" And it was always a new venture because he loved to keep busy. And I remember one time I ran into him where he holds his offices in Costa Mesa in Orange County, and I said, "Kobe, you retired. You had the most unbelievable career. You've made more than enough money. Why are you still working?" He said, "I have to. I have to work 9 to 5. It's what I do." I'll never forget that I called my mom afterwards and I said, "Kobe should be laying on the couch watching cartoons, hanging out, enjoying the retired life." But Kobe said, "I can't, I have to work. I just do it." And he stayed in Orange County to be with his family, to raise his daughters, 4 daughters, one who was just born this summer, a beautiful daughter named Capri. But Kobe was everywhere, truly everywhere. And it was something we would laugh about, and it was something that he loved. He couldn't be lazy. He couldn't stay home and enjoy a nice Monday morning from work. He was in the office, he said, every single day, and I witnessed that.
And he idolized Michael Jordan, who had a comparable work ethic and competitive spirit, just would not let his team lose. Just devastating, and as much as it hurts us as fans of his, you can imagine how much it hurts more those who are touched by him, his family, his 3 surviving daughters, his wife, his family, the Los Angeles community, and the Laker family. Pau Gasol, a member of that Laker community, writing, "Beyond devastated. My big brother, I just can't believe it." Current Laker Jared Dudley writing, "Speechless on this plane ride home. A sad day. Rest in peace, Kobe Bean Bryant. Prayers go to his family and loved ones. This doesn't even feel real." We talked about the Grammys going on tonight, shutting down Staples Center and the downtown area. John Legend and Chrissy Teigen writing, "This is John Legend. I'm so sad and stunned right now. In Staples, where Kobe created so many memories for all of us, preparing to pay tribute to another brilliant man we lost too soon. Life can be so..." Oh, they're preparing to pay tribute to Nipsey Hussle tonight as well, and losing another one. Writing, "Life can be so brutal and senseless sometimes. Hold on to your loved ones. We miss you, Kobe." And Chrissy Teigen writing, "Downtown right now, and nothing feels more unimportant than what we are doing today. This is absolutely terrible. Everyone is numb."
And I have to think about Kobe's wife right now, Vanessa Bryant, who had been with him since they were so young. I believe it was teenage years. Vanessa and Kobe had a young relationship together. They chose to get married. They had children together. They went through low lows and extremely high highs together. And Vanessa stuck with Kobe and was so loyal to Kobe throughout her entire life with him and their entire relationship. I can imagine being the wife of a professional superstar athlete is so challenging. Having your spouse on the road all the time, having to raise small children by yourself. Vanessa was, as much as you want to say Kobe was the stronghold and the model of that family, she was so strong as well. Those two created such a beautiful family of 4 daughters, Vanessa Bryant and Kobe Bryant, 2 loving, wonderful parents. And Vanessa here still left now with Kobe's legacy and in the most devastating state of mourning that I can't even imagine right now. We are praying and thinking of her as well as the 3 daughters left behind of the Bryant family. But I just think about Vanessa holding his hand everywhere they went, and them two, and their relationship being so strong through everything they went through. And it wasn't always easy. It wasn't always pretty, but she stood by him through their love that they had had for years and years and years, and they raised their family together. And that to Kobe now in these later years was the most important thing.
She was 17 when they met in 1999, engaged 6 months later as an 18-year-old. And they were kids. They were kids. Kobe was 21. She was 17 when they first started
Just
dating.
starting his career.
Kids.
And they stuck in it together, and it's not easy.
You know, you're right. That's amazing that they were still together. How many relationships one can survive starting out so young when they're that inexperienced, and
Without sports.
surviving the life of a superstar,
Yeah.
they were able to maintain their marriage
It's difficult.
and flourish as a family.
And truly a testament to their love and their relationship. Truly true love between those two. At the last couple of times ago when I saw Kobe, he was telling me that his wife was pregnant with his daughter, now Capri. And I told him, I said, Kobe, are you going to try for a fifth? Because we got to have a young Kobe Bryant playing in the NBA. And he really said, whatever my wife wants. Vanessa's carrying my children. If she wants to have kids, I would love to. But he truly loved his family. He loved children. He loved his kids. And he loved the things that they would someday do. And Kobe even joked, yeah, I feel like God's playing a joke on me with all these girls. It's so much fun. But one of the greatest athletes of all time having girls, and he raised his daughter Gigi, 13 years old, as you said, in the crash with him today. But his daughter Gigi was following in his footsteps, becoming a superstar at 13 years old, a huge part of her basketball teams growing up, playing on travel teams. He was teaching her. He told me just last week, I said, how's the family? What's going on? And he said, well, my oldest is 17. And he said, can you believe it? Thinking time has just flown by for him and watching his kids age. But he said, Gigi is just doing great. She's playing basketball. She's learning her new fadeaway jumper. We've been working on it. And I said, you taught her that, didn't you? And he said, I teach her everything. So Kobe being a role model within his family, being a coach in his family, that ultimately led to what happened this morning, him traveling with his daughter to a basketball game. But truly, the family was the center of Kobe's life. His wife, Vanessa, just so strong, so loyal, and they created together a beautiful life in Newport Beach together.
I do want to mention, our entertainment producer just sent this to us. Kobe has been and is the only athlete to ever win a basketball championship and an Academy Award.
Yes.
No other person, I mean, if you just think about all of the things that he has done that no other person has done, that's another thing. He won an Oscar for Best Animated Short for Dear Basketball, which was based on a poem that he wrote. He worked with an animator, Glenn Keane, and Oscar-winning composer John Williams on the project, and it was about him as a young boy dreaming and becoming a basketball player. Just truly a love letter to his life and his career, just going from being a teenager, jumping into the NBA and staying with the Lakers, one team for 20 years. So, I mean, it's so tragic, but at least we will have that fans can, you know, from here watch that and know his true love for the game.
We were lucky enough. To have 20 years. Do you want to go to that full? Yeah. Okay. Let's go to that full from Dear Basketball.
Dear Basketball. From the moment I started rolling my dad's tube socks and shooting imaginary game-winning shots in the Great Western Forum, I knew one thing was real. I fell in love with you. A love so deep, I gave you my all. From my mind and body to my spirit and soul. As a 6-year-old boy, deeply in love with you, I never saw the end of the tunnel. I only saw myself running out of one. And so I ran. I ran up and down every court after every loose ball for you. You asked for my hustle. I gave you my heart. Because it came with so much more. I played through the sweat and the hurt. Not because challenge called me, but because you called me. I did everything for you. Because that's what you do when someone makes you feel as alive as you've made me feel. gave a 6-year-old boy his Laker dream. And I'll always love you for it.
It's just devastating. It's devastating to hear his voice, and what a voice. It's clear why that won an Oscar. It's emotional. It's hard to come to grips with the fact that he's gone, and you hear his voice, and you think about going to games and seeing him there, and just having him at basketball reunions, at All-Star games, at Hall of Fame ceremonies. I'm sure we're going to see Kobe as a Hall of Famer, maybe a little earlier than he would have been inducted normally. It's just, and that video right there, it was hard to watch before, just knowing that we wouldn't be able to watch Kobe play anymore. And now to see that with the picture we're seeing on the right side of your screen, knowing that's how Kobe Bryant wound up losing his life, it's even more devastating to think about and hear his voice like that.
The voices is astounding, because that was Kobe, and that was, as he explained, his love.
Yeah.
It's my life. Basketball is everything. It's in his blood. It's what he gave his body and his time and his energy and everything he did. It was dear basketball.
And we were the lucky recipients to do that. We're going to go live now.
Yeah, we're going to head out to Amy Powell. She's live at the crash scene. Amy, what are you seeing out there? I'm assuming a lot of fans still coming to the area.
Yes, Veronica, really a pretty remarkable scene out here. I'm going to step out of the way just to show you dozens of people standing on the street corners here. Some of them had to walk a long distance to get to this street corner, because obviously police are blocking off some of the streets here because so many people have been pouring into this area. But you see all these fans, the shock on their faces. Many of them are standing here on the corner gazing toward the hillside where that crash scene is. You can just see a little bit of the smoke in the distance from where this horrible tragedy happened that took the life of Kobe Bryant, their beloved Kobe Bryant. And these fans, many of them are out here wearing jerseys with the number 24. Again, they've been standing here very reverently, and it's just a really sad scene. I'm going to walk over and talk to some of the people here, because there's several families here as well, you know, generations of Kobe Bryant fans. And I'm going to bring in, give me your name.
Michael Cox.
Michael, tell me about what you're going through. How devastating is this to you?
You know, when I got the call, I was like, you're lying, you're not telling the truth. And I'm on, you know, the website, you know, TMZ or ESPN, just trying to see if it was true. You know, Kobe built, you know, the Staples Center. What I loved about him was his work ethic, the fact that he would just do anything for his team. But what I loved most about him was that he loved his daughters, and he does anything for his daughters. And it was, the videos and stuff of him training his daughter how to do the same move as him, and just teaching a work ethic. That's what I try to instill in my daughters. You know, I'm just a Girl Scout dad, but I try to teach them, you know, to be the best, sell them any cookies you have, try to instill the same thing in them. So I love Kobe as a player, but I love him as a work ethic. I love him as a true family man, just loving his daughters.
That's a really beautiful tribute. So you came here with your family today, your wife, your two daughters. Why did you feel the need to come here to this?
You know, ironically enough, we were just, going shopping today, and we was in the neighborhood, and we said, let's turn over to still see if it's even true. you know, it's one of those things like you hear it, you get confirmed reports, can't believe it. You know, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, because I loved him. Like, again, for his work ethic, but I loved him as a family man also.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you for your thoughts. Just a sample of what we're hearing from some of the fans here. We'll be talking more, but right now we'll send it back to you, Veronica and Jory.
Okay, Amy, thank you. We want to go now to Chris Christie, who is in Air 7 HD tonight, this afternoon. Before we talk about him being up in a helicopter today, we want to get some reaction from Laker players. Chris, what are you seeing up there?
Jory, we're up over the 405 where the LA Lakers have landed just a few moments ago over at LAX, and a group of team members have boarded that Sprinter van there. There is a police escort as they departed LAX, now on the 405. Not sure where they will be headed or if they will be gathering, but witnesses on the ground there obviously seeing a number of distraught players. LeBron James notably visibly moved as he stepped off the plane and boarded one of the vehicles, and we were told, there were reports that they were on their way from Philadelphia to Los Angeles when word broke on board the private jet that the team leases to travel, and it was just an unbelievable scene on board that plane as they heard about Kobe Bryant and what happened this morning. It's just you can only imagine. Of course, I'm sure we'll be getting some illustration of what played out on that plane, but you can only imagine the outpouring of emotion when that team found out about Kobe. Now you see a number of teammates is once again here northbound on the 405. We're going to continue to follow them and hopefully bring you those pictures here coming up, Jory.
Chris, I do want to ask you, having myself just gone up in Air 7 just a couple of times, your thoughts on just, we know the inherent dangers of going up in an aircraft like that. Your thoughts on seeing what has played out today?
There's so many emotions. We know every day, every time we take off, there are inherent risks. And by and large, I always say that it is very, very safe. It's a very safe mode of transportation. Folks should not be scared of boarding a plane or a helicopter, quite frankly, as long as the aircraft are maintained properly and the company or the operator is acting responsibly and has highly trained pilots. These are commercial pilots. This particular aircraft that Kobe was on belongs to a very experienced company here in Los Angeles, and the pilot, from what I have heard, while we're still waiting for identification of that pilot, but from what I have heard, this was a highly experienced pilot, which would not surprise me. Normally when VIPs lease a helicopter or charter an aircraft, there are amongst the most experienced pilots transporting them, and it's not a cheap way to travel, but it is a very safe way to travel, assuming that all the appropriate precautions are taken. And in this case, I just think it's way too early to say what might have caused this accident, because there's been so much speculation about the visibility and the fog, but under the circumstances, and when you consider the pilot's experience in this case, when you look at that aircraft and what it's capable of flying in, it is highly capable of flying through zero visibility. I just think at this point, as I watch some of the coverage across the country and around the world this morning, I just think we need to be very cautious about what might have brought that aircraft down.
Of course, there's so many different factors. Thank you so much, Chris. We do want to let our viewers know, and Chris know, if we will keep you, but the press conference that we are expected from the LA County Sheriff's Department, that is going to be happening here in the next 7 to 8 minutes. But Chris, you were talking about speculation and the fog and the visibility. And, we did have such a strong marine layer this morning. I mean, can you talk to us about what it's like to fly in the fog, and if there are any restrictions and if that affects the flying that you guys do?
So I should say from the outset, there's a very big difference between Air 7 HD and the helicopter that Kobe was flying. And he typically flies a multi-engine aircraft. In this case, it was an S-76. That's a Sikorsky aircraft that is IFR rated. That means that that aircraft can fly in bad weather, basically with zero visibility. That aircraft is able to fly, assuming that pilot is trained IFR, which I would assume in this case is the case. That aircraft is capable of flying strictly off of the instruments, whereas many other helicopters, including Air 7 HD, we basically play it safe, and we only fly in visual flight rules, which is called VFR, which means it's a see and avoid situation. You see a building, you see an aircraft, you see something else that might be an obstacle in the way, whether it's a power line or a landmass like a mountain or a hillside, we avoid those things. And if we can't see at least 3 or 4 miles ahead of us, we don't fly. We just don't take off. And
we have to interrupt you right now, Chris. We're going to go live now to the press conference happening. Let's listen in.
In the order of speakers that we will have today will be LA County Fire Chief Daryl Osby, and then we will have LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva come to the podium. Thank you.
Let's go live with Chief Daryl Osby of the County Fire Department.
Good afternoon. My name is Daryl Osby, and I'm the Fire Chief of the Los Angeles County Fire Department. want to thank you for coming here to today's briefing of the Willow incident. Today, shortly before 10 o'clock at 9:47 a.m., the Los Angeles County Fire Department received a 911 call of a potential helicopter down in a brush fire at the intersection of Los Virgenes Road and Willow Glen Street in the city of Calabasas in unincorporated Los Angeles County. Upon arrival, our firefighters discovered approximately a quarter-acre brush fire that resulted from a crash on the hillside. The Los Angeles County Fire Department initial response was 15 pieces of apparatus and 56 personnel that consisted of paramedics, engine company, heavy rescue, truck company, hand crews, and aircraft, and a chief officer to oversee the incident. Upon arrival during the incident and upon arrival of the Sheriff's Department, our two respective departments entered into unified command to handle this incident. Our firefighters on scene indicated that there was a debris field and steep terrain with a quarter-acre brush fire that was occurring at the time. Our firefighters hiked in to the accident site with their medical equipment and hose lines to extinguish the stubborn fire, as it included the brush fire, debris from a helicopter, and the fire also included magnesium, which is very hard for our firefighters to extinguish because magnesium reacts with oxygen and water. In addition to our firefighters hiking into the incident, we had one helicopter flying to the incident with firefighter paramedics on board. Those paramedics were hoisted down to the incident early into the incident. They did a search of the area for survivors. Unfortunately, all the survivors on board were determined to have been perished. Firefighters and hand crews worked to extinguish the fire while carefully preserving the incident for investigation. Currently, the investigation is still ongoing. I would like to turn this over to my sheriff to continue the press briefing.
Thank you, Chief Osby. Personnel from Los Angeles Sheriff's Station responded to the scene of the crash site and assisted the fire department, and we've established a containment area, and now our Aero Bureau has a handle on traffic or aircraft accidents. However, when there's a fatality, then it switches to the National Transportation Safety Bureau, the NTSB, and the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. FAA is already on scene and assisting. We're waiting the arrival of the coroner's office to assist in the recovery of the remains. As the chief indicated, there were no survivors. We have a manifest that indicates that there was 9 people on board the aircraft, the pilot plus 8 individuals. There is wide speculation as to who the identities are. However, it is entirely inappropriate right now to identify anyone by name until the coroner has made the identification through their very deliberative process, and they've made notifications to next of kin. And it'd be extremely disrespectful to understand that your loved one was perished and you learn about it from TMZ. That is just wholly inappropriate, so we're not going to be going there. And we're going to wait till the coroner does their job, and we're assisting the families of those who believe they've been impacted, and it's a tough process. And our hope goes out to all of the members that were on board, all the family of everyone who was on board this aircraft, and God bless their souls. So at this point in time, we have nothing that we can add until the coroner does their job, and we'll be making those notifications when we have the information and we know the next of kin have been notified. Then we can release the information publicly, and you'll be notified in subsequent announcements.
Sheriff, there is one thing you can confirm. Do we have a confirmation actually of 9 bodies there at the scene?
That is our belief, yes.
Thank you. So we realize at this point there are so many questions. There's a lot of information out there, and again, we understand. There's a lot of information that's floating, but we certainly have a responsibility and an obligation, out of respect, of course, for the families. And this is a very difficult time for us all, for the city. We have the mayor here of Calabasas, also City Council. We thank them for being here, and in fact, they wanted to pass on a message that for those in the community that want to gather here and are coming to Calabasas, if you do, you are welcome to join others at the Dianza Park here in Calabasas, and the cross streets there are Los Hills and Las Virgenes. Also, the Sheriff's Information Bureau will be sending out updates as to when there will be, if there is one, a press advisory out, a notification of another press conference or any other updates through our Twitter. So please look for that. And again, we thank you so much for being here today. And again, thank you for your time.
It sounds like we're not going to be getting any other answers from this press conference, but the most startling information that we're learning now is that 9 people perished on board, 1 pilot and 8 passengers. Previously, we thought it was just 5 people. Now we are learning it is 9 people in total have died in this tragic crash.
Yeah, the news just continues to get worse. We had been going on reports that 5 people were on board that helicopter, 2 of them being Kobe Bryant and his daughter. Another one being John Altobelli, the coach of Orange Coast College, the head coach of Orange Coast College baseball, and his daughter. And the news gets worse. The passenger total just doubled from what we originally thought. 8 passengers and the pilot, all 9 people dead. Sheriff Alex Villanueva breaking that news to us that it just gets worse. And so then you start worrying about, was it more members of Kobe's family? Were there more teammates, more parents?
Right.
Who else was on there? And I think the hardest news to hear and think about is that they're waiting for the coroner's office to get there, which means the victims are still on scene, and we're sitting here. When we cover scenes of death like this, it is a kind of an eerie fact that we talk about. We wait for the coroner's office to arrive, rule of death, and take the bodies away and remove them. And when we think about someone that we all know,
right?
To think about that, it's sickening to think about.
And the family as well.
And it's always really difficult when people are involved in a crash of this, of a helicopter crash, because typically the bodies are not easily identifiable, if we can just say that. And so it may take some time before we actually get confirmation from the coroner's offices. If you were just watching, you saw the sheriff say, we're not going to be identifying anybody at this time. It's just too preliminary. The coroner's office hasn't even arrived yet to remove those bodies from the wreckage. We understand that this crash happened in an area that was so steep and with such rugged terrain that firefighters had to hike up to the scene, and paramedics had to be hoisted down from a helicopter in order to get to that plane crash site. But of course, there were no survivors, and just such horrible news to learn that more people have perished in this.
You think about the access to get to the crash scene. That's going to have to happen with much bigger equipment, with other resources to get to those bodies, to get to the victims, to get to the cleanup, for the investigators to come in and do that as well. For now, we turn our sights from the crash scene to where a lot of people are showing up today, just doing whatever they can to remember Kobe Bryant. Jade Hernandez is live at Staples Center, which is already crowded for the Grammys tonight, and now crowded with those mourning the loss of Kobe Bryant. Jade.
Jory, Veronica, this is just a time of mourning for a lot of fans, and fans are trying to find a way to pay their respects to Kobe Bryant. And one of those ways is right here near the LA Convention Center. We're on Lebanon Street, and there is a mural for Kobe Bryant. It's been here for years, but this is where people have gathered today to remember Kobe. We've heard so many stories of how Kobe has touched their lives, and Job Marin joins us. And I know, Job, you found out about Kobe's death when you were actually at work.
Yes.
And a woman was just distraught.
She was exiting the LA Convention Center and she was crying, and I felt compelled to approach her, and I asked her, what's going on? Like, what happened? And she let me know, and that's how I found out. And she was distraught.
When you found out, I think one of the things you were telling me is that you feel like a part of your childhood, a person that you've grown up with in your generation has passed away, and that's deeply affected you.
Yes, definitely. Kobe Bryant was 41. I'm 37. He's part of my generation. Since the late 90s, mid to late 90s, I would see him on television in TV shows like Moesha and basketball, and he was part of my generation, and I feel a great sense of sadness and loss that he is no longer with us. He was only 41, and he was part of my generation.
Job, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. This mural right here, people are taking pictures. They've lit candles. They've placed some flowers here. Lena Chowdhury is a huge Lakers fan, and I know that you came down here. Tell me, when did you find out the news?
We found out this morning. We were at a brunch in LA, and all of a sudden my phone just starts blowing up. Everybody starts sending me these articles, and I was just crushed. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. I said, after this brunch, we're going straight to Staples Center. We're heading over there, and we're going to see what's going on. So here now.
And what did you find? I know that some people actually made it past some of the
Okay, Jade,
Grammy.
we're going to interrupt Jade Hernandez's report right now. We believe LA County Fire is giving an additional briefing. Let's go to that right now.
The coroner does to confirm the bodies before making an official announcment, and that's up to him.
Where the helicopter's heading from? 9 people on board. Is it possible there were more people than were supposed to be on board that aircraft, on that helicopter?
That's still under investigation.
Can you tell us where the helicopter is going from and to approximately?
I do not have that information.
Was everyone confirmed dead when you arrived on scene?
I'm being repetitive again, but I'm going to repeat it again, is that unfortunately when the firefighter paramedics did a search of the area and identified there were no survivors.
You said it took 8 minutes to arrive on scene. How long did it?
That's undeterminable at this
You
time.
said it took 8 minutes to get to the scene. How long did it take you to get into the helicopter or to the helicopter itself?
I don't have that information. Magnesium, there's fuel on the helicopter. Magnesium is part of the components that the helicopter is constructed with.
Can you tell us who owned the helicopter?
That I don't know. That's under investigation, and that will be released. That's under investigation, and that will be released at another time. So that's okay. That I don't know. That's under investigation. So I've said enough. Okay.
Hey guys, real quick, I'm Sergeant
Okay, so it looks like LA County Fire Chief Daryl Osby came back to answer some questions. Of course, we know that the NTSB and the FAA, it's going to be under their purview now. This is their investigation. The FAA is already there, and the NTSB is on their way. They're expected to be there this evening. But we do know on their way out here to California that the NTSB is going to be holding a press conference at Hangar 6 at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport at 3:15. That's going to be 6:15 Eastern time. Before they get on the plane, they're going to be giving some information. It's likely going to be very preliminary, probably talking about their method of how they're going to be conducting their investigation, how long it's going to take, the steps that they have to go through. The NTSB with major investigations typically does this, where of course they're not even on scene, so they have such little information, but they can tell the public and the media what the next few weeks, few months, potentially few years is going to look like before we have any further answers about what caused this crash.
And it's lucky we're in the time of year we are right now. We saw a quarter-acre brush fire break out. If we were in drought conditions, we could be talking about the entire hillside above Calabasas.
That's right.
A second devastating tragedy we could be talking about for this community right now. That magnesium is used in aircraft to kind of strengthen the material of the aircraft. And so when it burns, it reacts to water. That's what the fire chief just said. It's hard to put out because it reacts inversely to water when you're trying to put it out. Carlos Granda right now is in Newbury Park at the Mamba Academy, where Kobe Bryant spent some of his final moments with members of his family. Carlos, what can you tell us there?
Well, that's right. There's a lot of people here, actually, at the Mamba Sports Academy. We can get a shot of it behind me there. You can see that there's a memorial that has been set up, and there's still several dozen people here. They've been coming and going throughout the day. More people arriving every few minutes. This was a very special place for Kobe, from what I've been hearing. This is a place that he wanted to be part of because of his daughters and love for basketball. He wanted to help other children. He wanted to inspire other children. So this is part of him being a good family man. Now with me is Jack Wynn. He works right across the street, and you said you came by because you just respect so much what he did for the game. You respect him so much as a person. Talk about that.
For sure, because I've been watching NBA since 10, 15 years ago, and although I wasn't really truly a Lakers fan, I respect Kobe a lot. His work ethic, his Mamba ability, he affected so many people. He positively encourage so many people. So I thought I came over yet tomorrow after work, but then this afternoon at home, I'm just like, no, I cannot contain like this emotion.
You needed to come
I
by.
need to come over and then just be like, yeah, this is his last destination. I want to see like what he left behind and his legend. I mean, his legend is way more than just this. But
You said when you heard this morning, you thought it was fake. You couldn't believe this.
Yes, I couldn't believe this when I first saw on the first site. I'm like, maybe this is just another social media, whatever, fake news or something. But then a few hours later, I'm like, more and more reports come out. I'm like, this is just devastating and terrible.
Now, you said you're from China, and here we know he's huge, but tell me internationally, especially in China, which loves basketball, how big was he in China?
Chinese fan, let me tell you this, Chinese fan, there's an anecdote that Kobe has 6 billion fan, 6 billion fan, which is like so that's one of the meme kind of going on.
He was huge.
He was huge, and love and hate, whatever it is. Some people hate him, some people love him, but today in Chinese social media, all I see is just respect and sadness and shock. Because right now it's like 4 a.m. in China, and 4 a.m., as you may know, is a very meaningful time. For Chinese people, this 4 a.m. is a very meaningful time because there's this saying of Kobe going to practice 4 a.m. There's this saying, a quote of Kobe's quote, like, have you seen Los Angeles at 4 a.m.?
Exactly.
So Chinese people like.
So you wanted to come by here because it means so important.
Yeah, this is. I want to see his legend, what he left behind, and then just pay him some respect.
Thank you so much, Jack. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you. And look over there, you can see some folks that are bringing in flowers right now. And this is what's been happening here. People have been coming by, staying there a few minutes. They look at the memorial. They see what's going on. I've seen some people crying, some tears, understandably. And then they just wanted to come here just to see a place that he was involved in, something that he took great pride in because he wanted to do this for the kids, to inspire kids. And you can see more people over here. But again, this is what's been happening here. They just come by just to quietly to look and to see this place and to see the memorial and to just think about what Kobe did, the greatness that he brought to the game, and just the greatness that he brought as a human being to a lot of people. So tremendous sadness out here in this part of the area here in Newbury Park. Reporting live from Newbury Park here outside the Mamba Sports Academy, I'm Carlos Granda. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Carlos. So difficult to talk to mourning fans and to just see so many people so upset. We do want to say that Michael Jordan's manager just put out a statement, and these are the words of Michael Jordan. He says, "I am in shock over the tragic news of Kobe's and Gianna's passing. Words cannot describe the pain that I'm feeling. I loved Kobe. He was like a little brother to me. We used to talk often, and I will miss those conversations very much. He goes on to talk about his love for the game, his love for his family, and he says, Yvette joins me in sending my deepest condolences to Vanessa, the Lakers organization, and basketball fans around the world. And you've been talking, I mean, he is really just the Michael Jordan. I mean, he is so comparable to him.
He emulated Michael Jordan. He sounded like Michael Jordan. Truly. He worked as hard as MJ did and wanted to be the next Michael Jordan. And I think it's safe to say he was.
And better. I think when you think about Kobe, you think about his drive. We talked about the Mamba mentality, the ferocity, the intensity that he played with, that he wanted to be the best. And he always said, Michael Jordan was my example. And now you look at the generation of basketball players currently in the NBA, Kobe is the example. Even LeBron James last night so eloquently put it that everything he did, every way he dressed, everything about his game was modeled after Kobe. And he told the story of Kobe inviting him into his hotel to give him his personal sneakers that were a size 14, but LeBron wore a size 15, but he wore them in the next game anyways because he was so honored. And Kobe and LeBron just talked about the impact that Kobe Bryant had. So you have now current LeBron James being the best player in the game, without a doubt. Yeah. Just passed him, Kobe, on the third-time all-scoring list. And now saying that everything I learned was Kobe Bryant. And I can tell you, I just saw a video of Trae Young currently on the basketball court hugging his mom. in tears. I saw a video on Twitter of LeBron James after the team just landed, hugging someone who I believe is either his wife or a female, that in tears, devastated, breaking down, because this impacts every player in the NBA. Anthony Davis told me the other day, everything I did was trying to be like Kobe. You hear these guys saying, want to be like Mike, because everyone in our young generation, like Kobe, wanted to be like Michael Jordan. This current state of the NBA wants to be like Kobe. And it's just heartbreaking. It's, like I said, there's a hole in the sport right now that I'm not sure will ever be filled.
And there was a devastating picture from today's Houston Rockets game of Tyson Chandler, who played with Kobe Bryant, and just in tears, crying. It looks like in pregame warm-ups. We'll see if we can bring you that as well. We had to interrupt and break away from Jade Hernandez at Staples Center. Let's go back to her now, where fans continue to gather, mourning the loss of Kobe Bryant. Jade.
Dozens and dozens of people have passed through this alley because there is a Kobe Bryant mural just behind me. They brought flowers and they've lit candles. One fan told me that it's ironic that there is a Nipsey Hussle mural right next to Kobe Bryant, both iconic legends who were lost way too young. Carter joins us now. He's wearing a jersey. He's wearing a Kobe jersey. And I know you came out here to pay your respects.
Yeah, just everything he meant to the city.
It's really hard.
Yeah, it's hard to process, especially because his daughter. You know, you just think about his family, you know, Vanessa. I'm thinking about all Laker Nation, the Bus family.
This generation, Kobe Bryant meant so much, and I feel as if that everyone has gathered here to try to remember him in a special way. What was the memory for you that you carry with you?
I've been watching him since I was 4. So I saw him about his second year in the league, and I mean, so many great memories. You know, 81 points, and then his last game, you know, he played till he had nothing left, and then went past that, and he got 60 in front of his family. And Gianna. It's just tough. It's tough. This is a tough day for, you know, all of basketball, you know, the whole league, sports world.
Thank you so much, Carter. I mean, I think Carter is having a hard time finding words. A lot of people who have gathered here, you see their phones out. They've been taking pictures. They've been trying to share their memories that they have of Kobe. And Michael also was sharing some of his memories with me. I know that you have a very special tattoo.
Yeah, I've been a Kobe fan. I'm born in '96, so Kobe, he came in '96. Ever since then, I comprehend. I just been a Kobe fan. I got this tattoo way back. Just, you know, Kobe just meant the world to me, and all of us out here in LA growing up just idolizing somebody who just dedicates their grind to their craft, and they don't make them like that anymore. Everybody want to take the easy route, but Kobe, he was willing to never be satisfied at where he was, and he always wanted to push to a higher level, and you don't see that no more. So I just appreciate everything you did, Kobe, for real. And I pray for his family, his wife and all that. His daughter, none of them deserved that. She was going to be a star, but I'm thankful for everything he's done and motivation. Nipsey, too. Rest in peace, Nip, for real. That's crazy how both of the murals just happen to be right here. That should tell us something, like, hopefully it inspires people, you know, just to be the best versions of themselves. And we could be idolized one day.
Michael, thank you so much. We are on Lebanon Street in downtown LA. This is by the LA Convention Center, not very far from Staples Center. And as you can see, the dozens and dozens of fans here all have special stories that connect them to Kobe Bryant. And they'll be remembering him not just today, but for a very, very long time. Reporting live, back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, Jade, thank you. The dedications and memories continue to pour in. Magic Johnson writing on Twitter about a half an hour ago, my friend, a legend, husband, father, son, brother, Oscar winner, and greatest Laker of all time is gone. It's hard to accept. Kobe was a leader of our game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Josh Haskell out at the scene where that press conference took place. I know that Chief Darrell Osby, he came back, answered a few more questions, but do we have any further information besides that startling news that 9 people perished on board?
Well, what the fire chief was responding to was that development that surprised all the reporters here in the media, because we, at first, according to the LA County Fire Incident Alert, it said that 5 were on board. But as you heard, we just heard from the sheriff that there were 9 people on board, and then the fire chief confirmed that 8 passengers, 1 pilot. And I just want to talk a little bit about what Jory was talking about, the area where the crash happened, because I was there earlier this morning. That is the area that burned during the Woolsey fire. I covered that area where Malibu Canyon turns into Las Virgenes in Calabasas. I was right there, and that is sort of the terrain. And so that is one thing. When that quarter-acre brush fire broke out, that is probably some good news, that the brush there was not particularly thick because it had burned during the Woolsey fire. But as you heard, I believe 56 members of LA County Fire responded, and it was a difficult area for them to get to. And I asked this question, and I was told that they are sure that all 9 people on board did perish. They would not say who was on board, pending the identification of next of kin. As you can imagine, they are trying to reach now 9 families and tell them. And I just want to give you a little bit of perspective of where I am right now. I am at the Lost Hills Sheriff Station. We are about 1.5 miles from the crash site. We are about 14 miles from where Carlos Granda is, where the Mamba Academy takes place. And we know, per our Kurt Sandoval, that Kobe Bryant was there yesterday coaching. So that's about 14 miles from here, Newberry Park. And I was also told by LA County Fire that the helicopter that responded here, the first helicopter on scene, was out of Pacoima. They got here incredibly quickly. Fire helicopter number 12 with LA County Fire. And then, so this wasn't just a ground attack, this was an air attack. And you heard those sound bites about magnesium, it being a hard fire to put out. But that startling headline out of this press conference that we just heard, 9 people on board the helicopter. That is according to the manifest. So we do expect, and we are trying to get more details. You saw the sheriff and the LA County Fire Chief quickly leave and go back inside. They would really not answer any questions. And when the chief came back out here, he just responded and repeated what he had already said. But guys, I'll send it back to you, but just crazy thinking about 1.5 miles. This is where Kobe Bryant and his daughter lost their life, and now we know 7 other people as well.
Yeah, it's devastating. I mean, we were going off of 5, and that was hard to take, knowing that anyone lost their life, and that Kobe was among that, and his 13-year-old daughter and one of her young teammates. And you double the passenger list from 4 to 8, and then you add the pilot in, and here we go again. It just keeps getting worse. More families touched. We're working to see if any of his other daughters were on board that aircraft, whether any other teammates of hers, of Gianna's, were on board that aircraft, whether any of their parents, any more adults, were on board as well.
Because they were on their way to a game that Kobe was going to be coaching. So it's very possible that there were other parents and other young players on that plane. We still are waiting to, of course, hear confirmation, but they were on their way to play a game against a Fresno team. So,
and one of the questions asked of Fire Chief Osby was whether that aircraft was seated for that many passengers, whether they were maybe over capacity. And of course, we are awaiting that press conference from the NTSB that's coming up in just about 10 minutes. 3:15 start, 6:15 East Coast. It's coming from, I believe, Washington, D.C. before they make their trip out here west to begin their investigation. The FAA is already on scene. As on the right side of our shot, you can see some of the debris field. That is the propeller wheel, and it looks like the tail. This was a widespread debris field. It was difficult to access for firefighters. Some of them had to be lowered down to the scene. And
paramedics,
now,
they had to be
paramedics
lowered.
Who confirmed there were no survivors. Now you reverse that and have 9 victims here who now have to be extricated from this steep terrain. Whether that's going to have to happen one by one through the air.
It's very unclear. I mean, firefighters on the ground had to hike up there, and they were also dealing with a quarter-acre fire because there was some magnesium on board as part of that helicopter, and so it was difficult for them to put that fire out. You know, we've talked about the fire danger, and luckily there were no strong winds. That we are actually expecting strong winds this week, and there's going to be a heightened fire danger. So if there's any silver lining, it's that there was no winds to make a huge wildfire, which that area is very prone to.
If you are just joining us, Los Angeles and the sporting world and the world at large coming to grips with the fact that Kobe Bryant is dead at the age of 41. He was on board a helicopter along with 8 other people. There were 8 passengers plus a pilot, 9 people on board as this helicopter went down just outside Calabasas this morning. The call came in at 9:47 a.m. to response to a helicopter that went down. Authorities responded. Paramedics and firefighters sent several engines up there. There was a quarter-acre brush fire that came out of this. There were no survivors. Kobe Bryant, 41 years old. He had just retired 4 years ago. He retired as the 3rd leading scorer all time in NBA history, and just last night was passed by Laker LeBron James.
And who better to talk about that than our sports anchor, Rob Fukuzaki. Rob, you had so many times that you were able to, speak with Kobe, really on a personal level, not just as a player.
I tell you something. First of all, my thoughts and prayers go out to the Bryant family. Kobe actually grew up in a basketball family with Joe Jellybean Bryant in Philadelphia when he was playing for the 76ers. And, he got to play against these NBA players. I mean, he was really an NBA part of the family early on before he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets and traded to the Lakers back in 1995 when he was drafted 13th overall and he was traded for Vlade Divac. As far as a player, everybody knows what they saw. They saw an incredible basketball player, the most hardworking player in any sports when it came to conditioning, preparing for the games, preparing for practices, even during the off season. He was one of the most hardworking athletes you can imagine. He took great pride in that. He was very competitive, and off the court, he was really a cool guy. I mean, he was always joking around. He liked to jab the media just a bit because, he just liked to have fun. Of course, there were very serious moments in a polarizing type of career, and those things off the court, obviously, they were covered, they were documented. But when it came down to the person, Kobe Bryant, he's very caring. He and his wife, Vanessa, started a foundation many years ago to help homeless kids in the streets of Los Angeles, and he did so much work in the community. And just recently, he actually wrote a check for $1 million to a dance corps for Norm Nixon's wife, Debbie Allen. $1 million. Wow. And, so everything was so balanced. It wasn't just sports. I mean, you were talking about how he was such a global ambassador when it comes to basketball, but not just Los Angeles. I mean, he meant a lot to so many people. And I cannot imagine the NBA family right now. There are so many tributes, of course. People are so devastated. I mean, guys out on the court, there are 8 games in the NBA today. 4 of them just tipped off at 3 o'clock, including the Clippers in Orlando. Doc Rivers, before the game, was just beside himself. He was so emotional. He could not contain himself. He barely could talk. He said he's gotten to know Kobe Bryant a lot more after his career was over in the NBA, and he just could not, I'm not sure if you guys played that yet. You played the clip of Doc Rivers?
No, we haven't quite yet.
So we are, gathering things. We're going to have a special at 6:30 here on ABC7. Norm Nixon. Hopefully, we're trying to gather Michael Cooper as well to do this tribute show at 6:30 right here on ABC7 with Ashley and I. And it's just unbelievable to think that he's gone. I mean, back in 1995, I had the great fortune to cover him from beginning to finish. 20 years of his career, and now we're talking about the end of his life. I mean, I still, this morning it was really hard to believe, and, guys are talking about it on the radio. We're just starting to get the word, and I'm going on Twitter, and you're hoping that it's just a mistake.
Right, that it's just a hoax. I mean, and I think it's also a testament to, Ashley got emotional. I see you getting emotional. I think everybody in the sports community is so emotional because he really, truly cared, and he just embodied what a competitor is and a sports lover is.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about his competitiveness. I don't think I knew anybody more competitive in the 25 years I've been able to cover sports here in Los Angeles. Kobe Bryant was bigger than life. That's why we are doing this today. That's why throughout the Southland, there are tributes all across Southern California, all across the world, I'm sure, and across our ESPN, our Disney family. And when it came to, competitiveness, I mentioned that on the phone earlier. One time I was just standing there at Staples Center. He was just shooting around. Ball came by me, and he started talking to me as I was waiting for my live shot. And I said, "Hey, Cope, we should play a game of horse one day." He's like, "All right, but I'm going to win." Of course he's going to win, but he just wanted to point that out because he is,
just so you know,
just because of his competitive nature.
Couldn't even let that go.
Right.
Couldn't even give you a hypothetical game of horse.
Right.
Absolutely.
You might get him on one shot.
Yeah. And one time, years ago, I asked him, do you play golf? Because I believe it was at the Lakers charity golf tournament. And I saw him there, but he wasn't playing. He was there as an ambassador for the team along with the other teammates. And I said, "Kobe, don't you golf?" He's like, "No, man. I don't do anything that I'm not good at."
Oh. Why?
Yeah. He had to be good at everything he did.
We're going to stick around. We're still awaiting that press conference from the NTSB, just about 5 minutes away. We do have that interview from Doc Rivers today. We are all Lakers. Let's take a listen.
I haven't. Listen.
Play a game right
now. I don't know. I just don't have a lot to say. The news is just devastating to everybody who knew him, known him a long time, and he means a lot to me. Obviously, he was such a great opponent. It's what you want in sports. He had that DNA that very few athletes can ever have. The Tiger Woods and the Michael Jordans. It's funny. I was getting to know him more since he retired. This is a tough one. We have to go play. The news is just so devastating for Vanessa and his family, and there's just so many people he touched, it's looking at my young players and seeing how emotional they are. They didn't even know him, and it just tells you how far his reach was. So, this is just shocking news for all of us. And sorry, I don't have a lot to say. I just can't. I have to go talk to a team before a game and tell them to play a game.
So absolutely tragic. The head coach of a team that competes with the Lakers, the other team in LA. And we know that on Tuesday, the Lakers are going to be playing the Clippers. And what a difficult game I'm sure that will be if it's not canceled.
Earlier today, there were I guess it was a little confusion because they said that the remainder of the games in the NBA will be canceled. But they are playing the games. Like I mentioned, there are 8 total today. There's 4 that tipped off at 3 o'clock, including the Clippers at Orlando. And can you imagine all these players out there? They looked up to Kobe Bryant. They grew up idolizing Kobe Bryant. And their idol passed away today at the age of 41.
So hard to watch Doc Rivers in that moment where he just can't
so
compose himself. We do want to go right now. The Lakers players are dealing with this, the current team. Let's go live to Chris Christie and Air 7 HD over the Lakers practice facility in El Segundo. Chris, what are you seeing?
Yeah, Jory, we watched earlier as some of the players landed over at LAX and headed north on the 405, but it does look like there are a number of mourners here in El Segundo that have showed up at the training center here along Mariposa Way in El Segundo, and it almost looks like they're actually allowing locals here in the South Bay to basically walk right up here, and they have a little bit of a a vigil kind of forming here. A handful of people, not a huge crowd just yet, but just surprising to see, a little bit surprising to see them just allowing people to come up here. So this may be one way they are encouraging. We don't have official word of whether this is being officially condoned, but there are a number of these vigils popping up across the Southland, and here at the training center, this appears to be one of them.
Well, we continue to stand by. Chris, thank you for that report. We continue to stand by for that press conference that is scheduled to begin in 1 minute. The NTSB, we're curious to hear what they have to say. We can't answer one of the questions that was answered in the press conference with the sheriff and the fire chief about the seating arrangements. That particular aircraft, the Sikorsky S-76, can be arranged with seating for 8. There are two basically bucket benches if it is situated that way. Where you could potentially have 8 passengers on board at a single time. And it was difficult for the LA County Sheriff and the LA County Fire Chief to answer any more questions than really about how many people died, because it's no longer their investigation. It's the FAA's investigation. The FAA is on scene, and then of course the NTSB. And as we mentioned earlier, when they are going to be giving their press conference, likely very little information, but it's pretty typical for the NTSB to come right out and talk about their methodology so that people know how long the investigation could potentially take and what steps they're going to have to take in order to, get all the answers that so many people want and need. And it could take some time. I mean, these investigations can last months, years. Hopefully, we can find out more information sooner rather than later. What we do know, confirmed by the NBA and the Lakers, is that Kobe Bryant was among the 8 passengers on board. His 13-year-old daughter Gianna was also on board. Orange Coast College we see people gathering there for their baseball coach, John Altobelli, a 24-year head coach of the baseball team at OCC, was on board as well. His daughter was apparently one of Gianna's, Kobe's daughter's, teammates on the basketball team. So we believe those are 4 of the 8 passengers on board. We are awaiting identification of the other 4. Authorities aren't even going as far to identify that Kobe Bryant was among that, but that has been confirmed independently from the NBA and from the Lakers, and so that is how we are able to go forward with that report. But again, we are now 1 minute past 3:15 when we are awaiting that NTSB press conference. We have our control room keeping an eye on the podium there to see when they step up to the microphone, and we'll bring that to you as soon as it begins. And of course, family members who know who was on board, that they're going to probably likely be the first to tell us and to identify the people who were on board. And of course, authorities may have the manifest to know all of the passengers, but it's going to be very difficult for the coroner likely to identify because it was a fiery crash. We understand that there was a quarter-acre fire that sparked because of the crash. The debris field is everywhere, and unfortunately in those circumstances, it's very difficult to identify the bodies, very difficult for loved ones to identify what is left. And so it may take some time for the coroner to officially identify those passengers, but we may be hearing from loved ones as more information is released. Yeah, knowing we might have to break away really quickly here. The LA sports community, we have so many teams now, two hockey, 2 basketball, 2 football, 2 baseball. So that's 8 teams plus the college and the semi-pro. Jared Goff tweeting, "Thank you, Kobe, for everything you gave us, both on and off the court. Your legacy will live on forever in the hearts of millions. Truly one of a kind." These guys know each other. They interact. Even though they don't play the same sport, the Rams know the Lakers, know the Dodgers, know the Kings. Oh, absolutely. It is a fraternity here in Los Angeles. And, throughout the different seasons, like at Dodger Stadium, you will see Laker night. You will see Kings night. At a Kings game, you will see a Dodger night, and so on and so forth. So they were definitely all connected here in Los Angeles with 8 professional teams. And, we can't leave out our soccer teams as well. Yeah. We have the Galaxy and, of course, the LAFC. So Los Angeles, the hotbed of professional sports and a star-driven town. It's always been that way, and Kobe Bryant was one of the driving forces here in Los Angeles, along with Shaq, and of course, with the Clippers now, Kawhi Leonard, and now LeBron James leading the way with the Lakers. And it just comes a day after LeBron James breaks Kobe Bryant's record. Well, didn't really break a record, but passed him on the all-time scoring list. Now number 3. And last night, LeBron had just such incredible tributes for Kobe Bryant after
after he broke his points record.
Right.
I mean, it was just amazing. He just went on and on, talked about this and that, how everything's intertwined. And now he's in Philadelphia, where Kobe Bryant grew up. He breaks his record as a Laker with a Laker jersey on in Philadelphia. And he said, I cannot even explain this right now.
And just proof of the impact that Kobe Bryant had on basketball at Madison Square Garden in New York, where Kobe was hated, so close to Philadelphia, where Philly is hated in New York. A chant of Kobe breaks out at the Knicks game today in Madison Square Garden in New York City.
Do you know, among all of the great arenas in the NBA, do you know what arena was Kobe Bryant's favorite?
Was it MSG?
Madison Square Garden.
Amazing.
That was his favorite place to play.
Next to his home, I'm sure.
In Staples Center.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we have so many people who have been not just fans, but, you know, really people from all over just outpouring their love and all of their emotions. Magic Johnson here tweeting, Laker Nation, the game of basketball and our city will never be the same without Kobe. Cookie and I are praying for Vanessa, his beautiful daughters Natalia, Bianca, and Capri, as well as his parents, Joe and Pam, and his sisters. We will always be here for the Bryant family. Shaq says there's no words to express the pain I'm going through with this tragedy of losing my niece, Gigi, and my brother, Kobe Bryant. As we know, Gianna, Kobe Bryant's 13-year-old daughter, also perished in the crash. He says, I love you and you will be missed. My condolences go out to the Bryant family and the families of the other passengers on board. I'm sick right now.
That one gets me really more than seeing Shaq come out with those words. Gets me more than almost anything else I've seen today. Pau Gasol, who helped win championships here in Los Angeles in the post-Shaq era, writing beyond devastated. My big brother, I can't. I just can't believe it. It's so tough to see the people who knew Kobe, who played with him, who helped win championships with him. And when you talk about Shaq and Kobe, the animosity that we saw back stemming from the 2003 incident off the court to where their relationship had evolved to today, to where we see Shaq's reaction, it's so emotional to see that come around like that.
You know, when I mentioned on the phone earlier about Shaq and Kobe and the feud that they had together, they made each other better.
Yeah.
They really did, because Kobe Bryant was always so in shape. He always wanted to be at his peak, at his best. He actually would get a little upset at Shaq because Shaq would show up at training camp. He said, this is company time, now I get in shape. But Kobe was always in shape before he got to training camp. Nothing against Shaq, I was just pointing something out. But the thing about Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, they became brothers. They were always brothers. They were just fighting and bickering brothers at times. And Pau Gasol was very, very close to Kobe Bryant. You remember, he went through his lean years, the time where he was on the bench after that Phoenix Suns game. Do you remember that, where the Lakers just getting blown out? And it seemed like Kobe had just given up. He went to the bench. He went through the Smush Parker years. He went through that radio-thon where he went on every radio station. He wanted to get traded. At one point, we thought he was going to get traded to the Clippers. And then he showed his disappointment. He showed his frustration at that time. And all of a sudden, here comes Pau Gasol. And he's got his Batman and Robin once again, and they go out and win championships.
Yeah, that's right.
Brought it back and proved he could win a championship without Shaquille O'Neal.
Right, exactly.
Another Laker legend, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, also just so emotional today. Here's his reaction.
It's very difficult for me to put in words how I feel about the loss of Kobe Bryant. As a young boy, I met him when he was 11 or 12 years old. I was friends with his dad, Joe. We were former adversaries. Joe played for the 76ers, but he was a good friend and someone that I shared a friendship. And it's hard for me to understand now how this is affecting Joe and his wife. So to Kobe's family, I want to send my most sincere and heartfelt regrets and prayers, and my thoughts are with you guys. Kobe was an incredible fan.
Tom Chapman, one of our newest members to the National Transportation Safety Board, and Bill English, who will serve as the investigator in charge, also called the IIC, for this investigation. The NTSB is launching a GO team to investigate an accident involving a Sikorsky 76B as in Bravo helicopter, which crashed around 9:47 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in Calabasas, California. On behalf of the NTSB, I'd like to extend our deepest sympathies to those who lost loved ones in this tragic event. In total, we'll have a team of 18 who will be investigating the accident with expertise in operations, human performance, airworthiness, structures, and power plants. And we already have a staff person from the regional office on site. We will also have 2 staff members from our family assistance team who will be working with the families and other loved ones to help them get their resources that they need over the next couple of days and months. We are leaving in a few minutes. I expect we'll arrive late tonight. We're likely to have a media briefing sometime tomorrow. Please monitor our Twitter, which is NTSB_newsroom, for those announcements. I have time for a couple of quick questions. If you'll raise your hand, state your name and your affiliation. The question is, what types of things will we be looking for? Our team will be looking at the history of the pilot and whatever crew was on board. We'll be looking at maintenance records of the helicopter. We will be looking at records of the owner and operator of the helicopter, and a number of other things that we look at as part of the investigation.
How soon do you anticipate getting to work tonight once you land in California?
That's hard to tell. The question is how late will we be getting to work? We do have somebody who's on scene or en route from our Western Region office, and so when we get on scene, we'll have to assess what we're able to do at that time.
Fan Affidavit Fox 5. Media on the ground is reporting 9 people were killed in that crash. Does Sikorsky typically carry 9 people? Is it a helicopter that can be capable of carrying that many people?
The question is how many people can be carried in the Sikorsky 76B. We are trying to figure out what the configuration of that helicopter is. It really just depends on the configuration. So that's something we're still trying to verify. One more question. Is it typical to send 18? And I should clarify, it's not a total of 18 investigators. That includes our investigative staff. There's the investigative staff, there's the board members, there are a couple from media relations, there's our family assistance team, and I think that covers it. But it's typical for any of our investigations. This does not change anything. This is just how we would respond to any investigation. Does this type of helicopter have a black box? That's something we'll have to look to as part of the investigation. We're still on our way there. So thank you very much.
Okay, that wraps up a brief press conference from the NTSB in Washington. They're about to get on an airplane and come out here. 18 members of the NTSB on their way here to Los Angeles to begin their investigation. That includes 2 members of a family assistance team who will help with family members of the victims and get them the resources they need to move forward. But looking for operations, human performance. They're basically looking for the cause of this crash, how this helicopter went down. In the meantime, we want to head back out to Chris Christie, who is over Staples Center tonight, where there already was a large crowd gathered for the Grammys happening tonight, and people just looking for anywhere they can go to celebrate and honor the life of Kobe Bryant. Quite a crowd gathering, Chris.
Yeah, you're so right, Jory, as music fans in the entertainment industry gather right across the way here from LA Live at the Staples Center in preparation for tonight's Grammy Awards. You can see an impromptu gathering here right in front of Wolfgang Puck's as they pay respects to number 24 with that big billboard right above Wolfgang Puck's. And I can tell you from the social media video that I've seen from the ground down there, the mood is incredibly somber, and it's virtually silent down there. There is just not a whole lot of talk or chatter going on. At one point, they were chanting, "Thank you, Kobe." There are a couple of people speaking down there. You can see there is a little bit of a vigil in the center there that's kind of forming a memorial with candles and other memorabilia. So another spot here in Los Angeles, which will be prominent in the coming days as mourners gather to mourn the loss of Kobe Bryant here in downtown, as well as other parts of LA. You saw just a few moments ago folks spontaneously showing up at the Lakers training center over in El Segundo. I've got to tell you, watching this from up here is a little bit of deja vu in the sense that it was just about 7 or 8 years ago that Whitney Houston passed away on the eve of the Grammys here in Los Angeles as well, over at the Beverly Hilton. And the mood is similar in a way, but there's just something, as Rob Fukuzaki has been saying, something about sports and team sports, and in this case, an individual who really brought this city together. And I imagine we're going to be seeing a lot of scenes just like this playing out in the coming days, guys.
Yeah, and the Grammys were set to honor another legend of Los Angeles and the local area, Nipsey Hussle. And this was going to be a night of memoriam, and now it shifts focus now to another Los Angeles legend, Kobe Bryant. And as Rob was talking about, for sports fans, it begins when you're young. You know, the fanaticism, the idolization begins when you're a kid, and it just brings a certain magic to it. It's you know, the innocence of a child. When you get older, it's that beauty of the love of athletes and your heroes it slowly fades away, but you have that one that you grew up with, and for millions of people, that was Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely. Can you imagine he played 20 years in the NBA, and you can imagine maybe a 4 or 5 year old who grew up with a number 8 jersey, not a number 24 jersey. And of course, Kobe Bryant, the only guy up in the rafters at Staples Center with 2 numbers, number 8 and number 24. The Mamba definitely touched so many lives at a very, very young age. And like we mentioned earlier, a lot of these talented basketball players who became NBA players are actually out on the court right now, trying to get away from the fact that Kobe Bryant has died and just be in their moment to maybe pay tribute to him in any way possible, because that's how much Kobe Bryant meant to these players. And to all the kids that grew up watching Kobe Bryant, I mean, I know so many cousins that have kids, so many good friends that have kids that wore that number 8 jersey or number 24 jersey in the latter part of Kobe Bryant's career, who idolized him. He reached so many people's lives. And like you said, at such a young age, and they grew up, you know, maybe having their own kids and their kids wearing the Kobe Bryant jersey. So he's touched so many generations. And, you know, I want to equate it in a funny kind of way, but can you imagine Los Angeles for 21 or so years without an NFL player? They had no Los Angeles team to grow up with and to root for.
Right in that window.
Right in that same window.
Yeah.
But of course, this one man touched so many lives in Los Angeles, and the purple and gold is all over LA Live as we look at the monitor, the live picture. So many tributes up there, that huge billboard that's up at LA Live with Kobe Bryant's picture. And of course, over the years, we have covered funerals, services for Laker greats. Dr. Jerry Buss was down there at LA Live. I still remember covering that. And of course, Chick Hearn, the legendary play-by-play announcer for the Lakers, when he passed away at a church in Brentwood. That's, I think it was, where we covered that funeral. And 2 huge figures, and this is going to be just as big or even bigger.
I hadn't thought about that window where Los Angeles was without an entire sport for kids to grow up, to be able to choose their favorite player. And here comes one of the greatest of all time.
Absolutely.
In any sport.
Right. So they had to go out and find a football team. Maybe they liked the logo of the Panther in Carolina or something like that. They latched onto something other than Los Angeles because we didn't have one. Our USC football team during the Pete Carroll eras was our pro football team.
Yeah, and the love for Kobe is just so evident, not just here at Staples Center, as you can see on your screen, but fans are flocking all over to the crash site, you know, to the practice facility where the Lakers practice in El Segundo, and that's where we find Rob Hayes. Rob, tell us what you're seeing out there.
Yeah, we're at the UCLA Health Training Center. This is where the Lakers do all their training, their practices, things like that. You could see a small group of fans has showed up here, bringing flowers and other memorials that they've set up in front of the front door. It's maybe a dozen people here right now. We were wondering if the team was going to come here after they landed at LAX, but we had Air 7 up and it showed that the players deboarded that plane, got into their own personal vehicles, and presumably left for their homes. But here it's a small gathering right now, but people are continuing to show up here. They're being allowed inside the gates at the training center. The media is being kept outside the gates here on the sidewalk. So the best we could do is push in with our zoom lens and kind of get a feel for what's going on over there. But it's basically a small crowd of fans have showed up here. They've dropped off flowers and other memorials. And I presume that the crowd will continue to grow here in El Segundo as fans look for a place to gather with other fans and mourn the loss of Kobe, his daughter, and everyone else who was in that helicopter.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure more people are going to be showing up there, Rob. And on the right of your screen, you can see a live picture. This is at Staples Center where that crowd has gathered. And I think we've seen a chant go up there, one of the 5 clap chants. Kobe Bryant, 5 claps. You can see them doing that from this vantage point as that crowd just surges in size around candles and flowers.
Looks like they're surrounding something. It's a little bit hard to see here, but everybody seems to be focused on just the
those are candles. I'm sure there's some jerseys down there as well. We see a lot of memorabilia, a lot of jerseys being worn by players, Robin. And for those of you who are not sports fans, the few of you out there, that jersey, once you put it on, you have that for yourself. It becomes a part of you, and that's just part of, the word fan is from Fanatic, and it is part of your life.
Absolutely, and so many loyal Laker fans, through the lean years, especially over the past 6 years before LeBron James came. Of course, he came last year, but the 6 years prior to that, or 5 years, where the Lakers, they were going through tough times. But Laker fans have always been so loyal to the purple and gold. Even though there's another NBA team in town, if you are a Laker fan, you are always a Laker fan, and that's how Laker fans are. And, out of all sports, basketball in particular right now, because of what we're talking about, if you go around all the NBA venues throughout the country, the Lakers have more fans all across the country than any other fans. I mean, you will see that purple and gold, even in Boston. You will see a bunch of them up in Sacramento. Sometimes the chants or the cheers are louder than some of these teams who are playing in their home arena. That's how huge the Lakers are, and a lot of them, of course, wearing that number 24, or you can even say throwback number 8.
Yeah. And the scope of this impacting people beyond the world of sports. Former President Barack Obama, himself a basketball fan, and he would tell you player, but I think some people who've played against him may say, stick to your day job. But,
actually, I grew up in Honolulu, and there was a team, Punahou, that's where Barack Obama played his high school basketball. And I do remember some of the players that were on that team, Darryl Gabriel, John Kamana'a, and Barack Obama was on that team. Wow. I didn't know, of course, at that time, but I know he expressed his condolences from Michelle and his family. And
that's right. In fact, we have it right here.
Okay,
Former President Obama writing, Kobe was a legend on the court and just getting started in what would have been just as meaningful a second act. To lose Gianna is even more heartbreaking to us as parents. Michelle and I send love and prayers to Vanessa and the entire Bryant family on an unthinkable day.
And we know that Kobe Bryant and the other passengers on board, including his daughter Gianna, they were on their way to the Mamba Sports Academy, where reportedly Kobe was going to be coaching his daughter's team. That's where we find Carlos Granda in Newbury Park at Mamba Academy. More and more people starting to show up there. And Carlos, what are people saying in front of that academy there?
Well, you'll be able to hear from someone who is coming down here in just a few moments, but I want to show you first the scene behind me. There you see how many people are here. There's a memorial that's been set up right outside the Mamba Sports Academy, and people are coming, bringing flowers, bringing whatever they can just to remember Kobe Bryant, what he meant to them, which is an incredible amount, because he was such a good person, besides being a great basketball player, just a good person, and that he wanted to do this, be part of this, to help young kids, to inspire young young kids. And with me is a gentleman who brought his children. And why did you want to come by today?
We just want to come by and pay respects to Kobe and what he's done, not only for the sport, but for the city of LA, and for Newbury Park and with this facility, which is just absolutely amazing.
And from what I was hearing, people here telling me that he did this because he wanted to help young kids. I mean, that's what he really wanted, to be a good father and a good inspiration.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he's done it, and just the support in this city is it's amazing, and everybody loves coming here, and obviously it circles around one person, right? And like I said, what he's done for the community and the city of Los Angeles is just unbelievable.
When I don't know if you got it through a text or a tweet, or when you heard it this morning, I couldn't believe it. What did you think? I was stunned. Unbelievable. It just blew me away. It made me sick to my stomach, to be quite honest. It just, I couldn't believe it. You brought your kids here. Can I talk to your son? I mean, what was your thoughts? I mean, I guess you're a big fan. What did you think?
I was stunned, and it's just completely random. You wouldn't just think that would happen randomly.
Yeah, you didn't see him play, because it was a while back before but you've heard it from your dad. Yeah. What do you think? Was he an inspiration to all of you?
Yeah, he was an inspiration to a lot of people to start playing or just believe in themselves and start playing.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you can see, they brought his family here, and a lot of people that are coming by to pay their respects and their condolences to the family of Kobe Bryant, who, as you can see, they loved and respected very much. Back to you guys.
Absolutely. So many heartbroken fans, and just his love, the love of Kobe is just being felt all over the world. If you're just joining us, we want to give you a quick overview of what the NTSB said before they hopped on a plane. They're on their way right now. They're going to be in charge of the investigation along with the FAA, but the NTSB essentially said that they have a team leaving. They're going to arrive late tonight. They're going to look at the history of the pilot. They're going to look at whatever crew was on board, the maintenance record of that helicopter, and the operator of the helicopter. It's still unclear if there was a black box inside that helicopter, and that would, if there is one, give investigators some insight as to what happened in the final moments before the crash. We still don't know exactly what happened. We do know there was very difficult visibility. It was quite foggy in the area, but Chris Christie was saying that this type of helicopter that the passengers were on and Kobe was on can maneuver through fog with low visibility. And so it'll just be, days, weeks, months before we know exactly what happened. But still a lot of questions that need answered.
There could be several reasons why this aircraft came down. Mm-hmm. It could be the fog in a situation like that. If there's low visibility, you have power lines to deal with. If there's a bird strike, we've talked about a drone being a possibility.
Engine failure.
Our helicopter, Air 7 HD, was struck weeks ago by a drone, and fortunately they were able to land. But you could see it punched a hole in some of the metal on that helicopter. If it had been, I think they were told, an inch one way or another, we could be talking about a catastrophic incident like this one where lives were lost. Instead, here they were able to land. This helicopter with Kobe Bryant, the Sikorsky 76B. There was a question to the seating configuration, whether it was built to have 8 passengers. The NTSB confirming if it was configured in a certain way, it could have 4 passengers on each side. You could have long bench seats on either row here facing forward and back. So that if it was configured that way, that would have fit having 8 passengers on board. I love this tweet. Someone posted a video from just a couple weeks ago, that car crash in Newport Beach. It was a major accident, and Kobe happened to be there, got out and stayed with people, wasn't involved, but stayed with people, comforting them until authorities arrived and helping redirect traffic.
Can you imagine if you're that person? You're looking at him and going, you're Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, you must have thought you had died and gone to heaven. Here's you look up from a crash, and here's Kobe Bryant standing over you.
Unbelievable. I mean, there have been stories over the years where, in Orange County where Kobe lived, you go to some sort of store, establishment or whatnot, and then just an average person, is walking by him, and, he'll take pictures with him because, that little moment will make their day. And that's how he touched so many people in so many little but big ways it turned out to be for these people that were such big fans of Kobe Bryant. And the love, the outpouring of love right now at Staples Center, it's actually across the street at LA Live in front of the Microsoft Theater. They're having that memorial, and it's growing. I mean, there are so many people out there showing their love and respect for the Mamba over the years. You kind of wonder, like, how does this equate to the day Michael Jackson passed away, the day Whitney Houston passed away, on the eve of the Grammys, and the Grammys are tonight. Going back to all of the entertainers who unfortunately and tragically perished in plane crashes. I mean, you can go back to the Big Bopper Buddy Holly back in that day. And of course, it was the inspiration of Don McLean's American Pie song, The Day the Music Died. And today,
Roberto Clemente.
Yeah, Roberto Clemente, on a mission to help his people back in his homeland. And he perished in a plane crash.
Yeah, earthquake victims on a plane loaded with supplies. After retiring, after getting his 3,000th hit, called it a career and was helping people in the off-season on a plane that never made it back.
And that's why it's called the Roberto Clemente Award for Major League Baseball. Each team has a winner each year.
We were talking with Ashley a little earlier, Rob. What do you think the NBA could do to honor Kobe Bryant? We saw today's game, the 24-second shot clock.
Right.
Two teams, the Spurs and the Raptors, let it run out. Each team let it run out in honor of Kobe. Whether we'll see an award or a championship trophy renamed in his honor, we're going to see something big from the NBA.
Absolutely. I'm sure Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, and all the people that come up with these ideas are working on it right now. But Kobe Bryant definitely is going to be remembered like no other player, because he was such an incredible player, an ambassador for the game, not just here in the United States, but internationally. I mean, he didn't have to do what he did, but he really grew the game through China. He grew the game through Europe. We had our first game in Paris just a couple of days ago with Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. And, you know, the NBA has wanted to grow, and they are continuing to grow. And you can really credit Kobe Bryant for that. Not sure exactly what they will name after him, but they definitely will name something after Kobe Bean Bryant. Something maybe the award for perseverance or something that shows what Kobe was made out of. The courage, the tenacity, the killer instinct, the Mamba. That's what he was. You remember when he tore his Achilles tendon? He knew he was done for the season at that moment. And he actually walked to the free throw line and shot his 2 free throws. Didn't want any help getting off the court. He walked gingerly himself off the court with a ruptured Achilles tendon.
Of course he did.
That was Kobe Bryant.
Of course he did.
It just hits you in ways. You think about an award in the future being awarded in his name, and you realize that he's gone. It just keeps coming at you in waves that this is real.
And as we take a look here, you can see from Air 7, fans are making words here with rose petals and candles. KB, Kobe, Gigi. We know Gianna, his 13-year-old daughter, was also aboard there. And let's turn now to Chris Christie. Chris, you've been overhead. You've been seeing the crowd grow. What does it look like from above?
Yeah, Veronica, the crowd is definitely growing here at LA Live. In fact, there are now 2 separate memorials here within the barricades of LA Live. You can see, as you mentioned there, they are bringing in tons of yellow carnations and Laker purple roses with rose petals spelling out the names, as you mentioned, Kobe and Gigi. Another memorial growing over here near those barricades directly across from the Staples Center. Again, lots of memorabilia starting to pile up here as this crowd continues to grow. As this city has grown in the last 20 years with Kobe Bryant, this crowd grew up with Kobe Bryant and watched him grow from a young man into the sports legend that he eventually became. And it is just so evident in this scene right here as we watch this crowd grow, and I expect we will continue to watch more and more people flow into this area into the evening hours, and I imagine this will be the epicenter for lots of memorials to come in the next few days, guys.
Great.
So just tough to see, but at least there is a place for these fans to go, because we know that the Grammys are going on right now, and so that area is shut down. It's already congested. We saw a lot of fans flocking to the crash site, which is really on lockdown. I mean, Las Virgenes Road is completely shut down. Of course, the LA County Sheriff's Department, they don't want anybody over there as they conduct their investigation, but fans really want a place to go. We understand that there's going to be a vigil tonight at Leimert Park if you are looking for a place to mourn this evening at 5 o'clock. It's going to be held by a local church, and they're going to be, helping people come to grips with what has happened today.
Yeah. Fans just trying to go anywhere they can to join the crowd, to join in the mourning, to join in honoring. We see this crowd at Staples Center kind of ebbing and flowing, several different center points here, it looks like, where flowers and candles have been laid. Leimert Park, Staples Center, El Segundo at the practice facility at the Newberry Park. Sports development camp. We've seen people showing up there.
And don't forget in Orange County, where that baseball coach, we understand one of the other passengers, longtime baseball coach in the OC. There are people and loved ones who are gathering outside the college where he coached for 24 years, I think it is, that you were talking about.
Yeah, John Altobelli, head coach for 24 years at Orange Coast College, head baseball coach. His daughter and he were both on the helicopter along with Kobe and his daughter. And remember, there are 4 more victims that we still don't know who were on this aircraft. A total of 9 people on board, the pilot, 8 passengers, Kobe, his daughter, John Altobelli, it looks like, and his daughter, and 4 more victims as well that we are waiting for identification of. And then we're going to be doing this all over again at least 2 more times if we're talking about players and their parents, 2 more families touched. And it could be more than that. It could be just 4 more teammates on Gianna's team.
And then when we think about plane crashes or helicopter crashes, 9 people dying in a helicopter crash, that is extremely significant. That is a huge story. And now to add all of this where we have Kobe Bryant on board, this story is just going to be touching so many people, not just here in LA, but across the country and the world.
Yeah, the timing of it, too, is very striking, Rob. I want to play some video and get your reaction. Because last night, LeBron James passed Kobe Bryant in Kobe's hometown of Philadelphia and spoke about it last night. So let's listen to LeBron James from an evening ago.
When I was a kid, when I was in high school, I was growing up through the ranks when Kobe came into the league. He was, it wasn't a dream of mine to come straight, from high school at that point in time to the NBA. But I was like, wow. A 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid being able to make that leap, that's pretty damn cool. And as I started playing more ball and I went into high school, the things that he was doing on the floor, I admired and wanted to be a part of. I went to ABCD camp, and he came and talked to all the kids that was there, and I happened to be one of the kids that was there, and I was just listening. I was just trying to soak everything up I could. And I remember one thing that he said, he was like, if you want to try to be, great at it or want to be one of the greats, you got to put the work in. There's no substitution to work. And I was a 15-year-old kid at that camp. You can actually find the footage of him at that camp. And in 2001, I believe I was playing in New Jersey, and the All-Star game, if I'm not mistaken, and y'all could correct me, was in Philly, right? Yeah, that Saturday, me and Maverick drove to the Intercontinental downtown Philadelphia, and he gave me a pair of his shoes, which I ended up wearing that following night. It was the red, white, and blue Kobe's. I was a 15, and he was a 14, and I wore them anyways. And I sat and just talked to him for a little bit. He gave me the shoes. I rocked them in the game. And it was the same night that we played Oak Hill against Melo. And then I saw what he was able to do the very next night, winning MVP here in Philly. That following night. As I got drafted, I still just admired him. Seeing what he was able to accomplish, winning championships, being early in his career where he learned from the misses that he had against the series against Utah, and he just used that as motivation and got better and better and better to him winning multiple championships, and continued to admire him throughout my high school rank. And then as competitors, just seeing the work ethic that he put into the game. He had 0 flaws offensively, 0. You backed off of him, he could shoot the 3. you body him up a little bit. He can go around you. He can shoot the mid-range. He can post. He can make free throws. He has zero flaws offensively. And, that's something that I admired as well, just being at a point where the defense will always be at bay, where they couldn't guard you at all offensively, where you just felt like you was just immortal offensively because of your skill set and your work ethic. We take it down to 2008 where we become the Redeem team. And it was a dream come true for me to be able to line up alongside of him. Just admiring him for so many years, and seeing him from afar, and then being able to be in practices with him, and me watching and learning. So on. I mean, it's just too much. It's just too much. The story is just too much. It doesn't make sense. And just to make a long story short, now I'm here in the Lakers uniform in Philadelphia, where he's from, where one of the first time I ever met him, gave me his shoes, he won All-Star Week. It's surreal.
Just amazing. That sounds like he's talking about something today, knowing Kobe had passed. That was last night.
Such detailed, vivid recollection to when he was a teen, and going back to when he admired Kobe, when he got his shoes, and then here he is in a Laker uniform, not a Cleveland, not a Miami Heat, but a Laker uniform, passing Kobe Bryant for third all-time on the NBA all-time scoring list. And he couldn't explain it just because it's like all the stars were aligning for last night.
Yeah.
And he has a smile on his face, but of course, today, it's a completely different story. And Kobe Bryant's last post on his Instagram account was a picture of him. We're trying to get that up for you, but of him and LeBron James smiling. There it is. There's a picture of Kobe kind of patting LeBron on the shoulder at a recent game that Kobe attended here at Staples Center. Kobe and his daughters often attended a few games this year, and there you see, they are in complete joy, and that was his last post, and it read, "On to number 2, meaning number 2 on the all-time scoring list, and that would be Karl Malone. At King James, keep growing the game and charting the path for the next." And you almost think like, wow, was he almost saying goodbye and passing the torch and said, King James, you grow the game for the next generation, right there.
And we do want to go to now, we're learning, as we talked about, we're going to be learning about those who perished on board, probably through family members and other people who knew the passengers on board. The Brewster Whitecaps, they're a summer college league. They have tweeted, they say they were heartbroken and shocked to learn that our former head coach, John Altobelli, along with his wife, Carrie, and daughter, Alyssa, passed away this morning on the helicopter crash that also claimed the lives of Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna. So now we know that Kobe, his daughter, another daughter Alyssa, the wife Carrie, and John Altobelli, so that's 5 people, along with the pilot. So we're still waiting to identify just a couple more people.
It's heartbreaking. John Altobelli has spent the last 24 years at Orange Coast College as the head baseball coach there, and while all the attention is on Kobe Bryant, we have to remember that there were other victims on here as well, more families who are mourning, more communities who are now remembering a loss that they have suffered.
And we do have some radio traffic from right after the helicopter crash we want to go to. Take a listen.
Responding to report of a plane down, LA has also started additional units due to vegetation being involved. Location of Las Virgenes Road, Mulholland Highway. Copter 14, you've been added to the plane down with brush involved. Search and rescue respond with units en route.
Okay, now knowing the devastating aftermath of that crash, it's hard to listen to that have to go out over the radio and knowing what happened later. We're just about a minute away from taking a quick break before we start Eyewitness News at 4 at the top of the hour. We just want to recap this devastating afternoon that we have gone through. This started just before 10 o'clock this morning. A helicopter with 9 people on board, including Kobe Bryant and his daughter, went down over Calabasas. There were no survivors.
There were no survivors, 9 people on board. And Rob Fukuzaki, you're going to be having a special memorial show at 6:30. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, we're going to have, for sure, Norm Nixon. We are trying to effort Michael Cooper, of course. They are very, very busy guys, but they're trying their best to be here in studio. Our regular slam dunk analyst, Ashley Brewer, and I will be here, and we'll have all the different tributes throughout the NBA and, of course, across the country for Kobe Bryant. Dead at the age of 41. Still can't believe that.
It's hard to hear the words. It's hard to realize that it's real and come to grips with what we are dealing with here. But Kobe Bryant, a legend. He hasn't played for 4 years, but it feels like his last game was just last week. I mean, it stays with you. 60 points in that career finale, and it's the way the NBA views him. It's as if he was a still current player.
We'll be right back. See you at 4 o'clock.
This is Eyewitness News with live breaking news.
Breaking news, Los Angeles awaking to news that is hard to come to grips with. It's hard to say. Laker legend Kobe Bryant has been killed in a helicopter crash. His 13-year-old daughter also among the 9 people killed. The devastating news transcending the world of sports. Countless fans, athletes, and celebrities reacting this afternoon. Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Jory Rand.
I'm Veronica Miracle. This is Eyewitness News at 4. Bryant's chopper went down in the area of Las Virgenes Road and Willow Glen Street around 9:45 this morning. He and his daughter were said to be on their way to a travel basketball game.
We have live team coverage for you today, beginning with Josh Haskell live at the Sheriff's Station in Calabasas with the latest breaking details from there. Josh, what can you tell us?
Well, Jory and Veronica, we're about a mile and a half from the crash site. We know that 9 people were killed in this helicopter crash, and we will bring you everything that we know right now as we show you a little bit of video from the scene. Now, LA County Fire received a 911 call at 9:47 Sunday morning of a helicopter crash in the mountainous terrain at Willow Glen Street in Las Virgenes near the 101 freeway in Calabasas. 56 LA County Fire personnel responded, including search and rescue and hand crews. They found a quarter-acre brush fire in steep terrain. Crews hiked in with hose lines, according to LA County Fire. Magnesium from the crash made the fire difficult to put out, but they were able to put that fire out, and they searched the area for survivors. At the same time, I'm told that they were carefully preserving the incident for investigation. Now, we are told by the sheriff that there were no survivors. We know this was a Sikorsky S-76B helicopter. It's believed that the helicopter holds up to 13 passengers. There were 9 on board. Kobe Bryant, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, also Orange Coast College head basketball coach John Altobelli and his daughter. We're told that Altobelli was a coach, colleague, and mentor at OCC for 27 years. I'm going to play some sound right now for you from the LA County Fire Chief on what they encountered when they arrived on scene.
Our firefighters on scene indicated that there was a debris field and steep terrain with a quarter-acre brush fire that was occurring at the time. Our firefighters hiked in to the accident site with their medical equipment and hose lines. They did a search of the area for survivors. Unfortunately, all the survivors on board were determined to have been perished. Firefighters and hand crews worked to extinguish the fire while carefully preserving the incident for investigation.
And we just saw some representatives from the LA County Coroner show up here to the Lost Hills Sheriff's Station. They will be meeting with authorities as they figure out how to get up into that steep terrain. It is part of the Santa Monica Mountains near where Las Virgenes becomes Malibu Canyon. The Woolsey fire burned through that area over a year ago, so thankfully the brush wasn't too thick, but a quarter of an acre brush fire, they were able to put that out. Just a tragic scene here as everyone in law enforcement, all the officials telling us off camera that they're having a hard time with this too, as they are also fans, huge fans of Kobe Bryant, as all of us are here. And we will bring you the latest as we have more information. We know that the NTSB is on their way to this scene. And just to give you one more sense of where we are about 14 miles from where the Mamba Sports Academy takes place in Newberry Park and Thousand Oaks. So for now, I will sign off. We're at the Lost Hills Sheriff's Station. Josh Haskell, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Josh, thank you. Our live team coverage continues now with Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell, who is live at the crash scene.
Amy, we've been seeing fans pouring in all day to mourn and to pay their respects. They're in shock. We're in shock. Everybody seems to be so startled by this news. What did the fans have to say to you?
Veronica, and it's just been really heartbreaking and also inspiring to listen to some of the stories people are telling us about how much Kobe Bryant meant to them, not just as a basketball player, but for the many things he's done for this community and the life he has lived since his days as a basketball star. They are absolutely shocked. Many people came here. They drove several miles to be here. They said, obviously, this is not the scene. This is not the way they want to remember Kobe Bryant, but they had to come out here to pay their respects. We are at Las Virgenes and Willow Glen, and just in the hills above this area is the scene of that crash. If we look way up on the hillside, we might be able to see some of the workers up there on the hill. We know the FAA is here and the coroner is here, and they've got a lot of work to do. It's a very steep, rugged area, very difficult scene for them to get to do their work here. And then you come back down here to the street and you look over here and you see the crowds of people. It's been like this here for hours, just dozens of people coming out here, fans wearing Kobe Bryant t-shirts, carrying their Laker memorabilia. They just loved Kobe Bryant and they wanted to come out here and show their respect for him. Again, they're in shock, and you can just listen to the things they had to say and understand just how devastating this day is. Take a listen to what some of them had to say.
It's like a bad dream, waking up in a nightmare. Kobe Bryant meant so much to me, so much to my family, the people here of California, America. You know, he was one of my idols.
Me coming here was a way to say like my last goodbyes to him. And I'm glad I got to see him play one of his last games. So it's a very sad day for all of us.
He inspired children, he inspired teenagers, he inspired adults alike. He inspired myself. And watching him, poetry in motion, he was an artist.
Back here, another look at some of the fans, the dozens of fans who are gathered out here near the scene of this tragic crash that took the life of Kobe Bryant. Once again, they have been here for hours. Some of the people we saw walking along the streets here, several blocks to get here, they say they just had to come out here to mourn the loss. They're finding some comfort in being together, but obviously it's going to take a while before people deal with the shock of the loss of this great sports legend. Reporting live in Calabasas, Amy Powell, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Amy, thank you. Fans gathering there, the largest gathering we've seen so far. Just a massive outpouring of fans is at Staples Center in downtown LA, where they continue to mourn and pay tribute to Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, it's one of the many locations where people are coming together for a spontaneous vigil in memory of the Laker legend. Eyewitness News reporter Jade Hernandez joins us there live. Jade, you've been there all day, and I'm sure you've talked to so many heartbroken people.
So many heartbroken fans who really have felt that Kobe Bryant was just a part of their family. They've grown up with him. We are live in downtown LA, just down from the Staples Center, across the street from the LA Convention Center. This is on Lebanon Street, and this is a Kobe Bryant mural. This is where one of his murals is, and it actually is right next to a Nipsey Hussle mural, who obviously died well before his time as well. Vonnie Ramirez came here. She's wearing a jersey, and she was so sad when she heard the news. In fact, you've been crying. It seems like
I found out.
Oh, how did you find out?
Instagram, TMZ posted it, and my heart dropped. I was shaking. I could not believe it.
And you had to come down here. Dozens and dozens of people have been coming down here for hours to pay their respects. Why did you feel like you had to be near the Staples Center?
I mean, I've been a fan of Kobe since I was little. Like, Kobe is LA. I had to come pay my respects. I've always watched his games. I've been a big fan my whole life.
Vonnie, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and stories with us. People have been putting flowers and taking pictures and lighting candles. Another person is Cesar Solorzano. Cesar, thank you for sharing your story with us. Why did you have to come here?
Kobe's just a big inspiration in my life, and it's a really sad day.
It was a really sad day, and how did you find out, and what were people saying? I know one of the ways that people have been paying respects is coming here. How did you know?
Well, I saw people posting up that they were here. My friend saw it on Twitter, and then he let me know that Kobe had passed, and I didn't believe it. And then I got on my phone and then stepped out and just started bawling. It's just so terrible, such terrible news.
What made Kobe stand out to you as a fan?
His drive to win, his just effort to always win the game no matter what, no matter how many times he missed, no matter, who was in front of him, he was always going to put out every single ounce of effort to guard him, to lock him down, or every ounce of effort to, get the bucket to win. He really did everything, and we don't see players play like that anymore. We really don't.
Cesar, thank you so much. And there is a lot of respect for not only the fans out here taking pictures and sharing their stories on social media, but a respect for the family. Every fan that I've spoken to shares their grief with the Bryant family and with all those who perished in that crash. Reporting live from downtown LA, Jade Hernandez, back to you in the studio.
So heartbreaking. Thank you so much, Jade. And Chris Christie, he's live over Staples Center and Air 7 HD. Chris, you've been over this scene all morning, and I'm sure you've watched as the crowd just slowly has grown and grown over the last couple of hours.
It's grown just in the last few minutes, Veronica. The number of mourners out here easily in the thousands, with little memorials popping up in that crowd right there in the shadow of a huge billboard honoring Kobe Bryant above the Wolfgang Puck here at LA Live, right across the street from the Staples Center, which is not only home to the LA Lakers, but is also hosting tonight's Grammy Awards. And you can see the red carpet here as celebrities move through right across the street, expressing their condolences and reacting to today's tragedy as well. So just kind of a surreal moment here. This is one of several spots that we have visited. We were over at the LA Lakers training facility, the UCLA Health Training Facility over in El Segundo on Mariposa, where there is a makeshift memorial popping up. And now we've got a tweet from the city of Calabasas. They were concerned with the growing number of people trying to reach the crash site. LA County Sheriff highly discouraging that. They've blocked off the entire area, shutting down Las Virgenes. Now they are tweeting that De Anza Park at Las Virgenes and Lost Hills in Calabasas has been designated as a site to leave flowers or pay respects for today's victims. They're talking specifically about the grass area near the basketball courts at De Anza Park. So these memorials are continuing to pop up. I know you've been talking about the vigil scheduled for later on this evening at Leimert Park. That's going to be a huge event tonight, but here you can see a number of fans showing up in a zombie-like state of shock as these memorials pop up. Again, you can see lots of candles, flowers, and tons of memorabilia starting to pile up right there along Chuck Hearn Way, and then if we go ahead and widen out, several other makeshift memorials popping up in the courtyard right here at LA Live, where mourners are expressing their condolences. Guys, back over to you.
Chris, we're going to check back in with you in just a little bit, but we continue our breaking news coverage of the death of Lakers legend Kobe Bryant after the break.
Our sports director, Rob Fukuzaki, has been covering Kobe's career from its beginning, all 20 years of it. He'll join us with more on Kobe's legacy when we return.
Welcome back. Rob Fukuzaki joins us now in the studio with his reaction to the death of Kobe Bryant. Rob, you've covered Kobe's entire career as a Laker.
I still see his baby face, Kobe Bryant, back in 1995 when he was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, not the Los Angeles Lakers, and of course traded to Los Angeles via Vlade Divac, who went to Charlotte. It was Jerry West, the man who really believed in Kobe Bryant's skills when he was at Lower Merion High School just outside of Philadelphia. I still remember Michael Cooper, the former Laker great, telling me that he actually brought Kobe Bryant in. Jerry West brought Kobe Bryant in for a little workout with Michael Cooper, one of the greatest defenders in NBA history, and he was so impressed with a young Kobe Bean Bryant when he was just 17 years old. And of course, we all know what happened after that. A legendary career for 20 years with one team, the Lakers, the purple and gold. He was always loyal to the purple and gold. He went through times, a little roller coaster ride at times, where he wasn't happy because the front office wasn't doing enough, in his opinion. And he went on the radio. He went on different radio shows saying that he wanted to be traded. And then they got Pau Gasol after the Shaq era. And then he won a couple more championships. He has 5 championships. He was an 18-time All-Star in his 20-year career. And of course, we remember all the great moments, the 81 points against Toronto. I still remember vividly that Sunday because I just went to visit my grandma in the nursing home, and I went back into the car. I'm like, what is going on? He had 62 points against the Dallas Mavericks in just 3 quarters. He didn't play the 4th quarter of that game. And of course, the game that he went out on, the 60 points against the Utah Jazz. So many great moments in his career. So many things that you just want to say, it all happened and he's gone now. But we do have these memories that will last forever. And I've always been a big Kobe fan from the very beginning. When I was at the then Delta Center in Utah covering his very first playoff, and he was throwing up those air balls and in desperation. And look what happened here. I mean, he became a better person. He became a better player, but he always had the drive. He always had the fire in him. And that's what Kobe Bryant was all about, working harder than the next person because he always wanted to be prepared more than the guy that was across the way from him defending him. And that was Kobe. I mean, he is one of a kind. He was bigger than life. And so sad that he's gone at the age of 41. I mean, this morning I was really emotional because I could not believe it. You know, in my 25 years here at ABC7, I've been blessed enough to cover the sports landscape here. If you ask me, 3 of my top people that I was fortunate and blessed enough to cover, it would be Kobe, not in a certain order, it would be Kobe, Tommy Lasorda, and Tiger Woods from when he was a young teenager. And I mean, 3 LA icons. And when you talk about Kobe Bryant, you know, it transcends sports. I mean, it goes all across the world because he was a global ambassador for the NBA. And, you know, his legacy will move on. And as you mentioned, Adam Silver and those at the NBA, I'm sure, are finding a way to honor Kobe Bryant each and every year, not just this year. There's going to be tributes across the board. There have been tributes already in the NBA. There are 8 games that were on the NBA schedule today, and 3 of them, or 4 of them, tipped off at 3 o'clock. One of them was the Clippers at Orlando. And of course, the Clippers wrapping up their Grammy road trip in Orlando. And Doc Rivers was just incredibly emotional before the game when he talked to the media. And he said he still had to go back into that locker room and talk to these guys that grew up idolizing Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, some played with, some played against.
Yes.
Every time we see that banner, 1978 to 2020, Kobe Bryant, it hits you again. We want to think it's not real.
Right.
And through all the pain, we're lucky to have witnessed his career and his life.
We're blessed to be in this lifetime if you are a basketball fan, because I don't think you're going to really see anything like a Kobe Bryant and LeBron James at the same time. And last night, ironically, LeBron James passed Kobe Bryant for 3rd on the all-time NBA
and
scoring
spoke quite
list.
a bit about it, and we'll hear
Really
from
did.
LeBron James coming up. Rob, thank you. We'll check back in with you again. Still ahead, more reaction into the death of Kobe Bryant.
We're also going to have a check of our forecast. Here's a live look outside at Running Springs. Jonathan Novak is going to be up next, and we'll talk a little bit of weather when we get back.
Welcome back. As we continue to mourn and honor the life of Kobe Bryant, we're going to switch gears and change subjects and check in on our weather, because this was a very big story heading into this weekend. Jonathan Novak.
Yeah, we've got winds to discuss on the weather side, guys. The wind advisory that is in effect, and it goes until Monday in the afternoon time, is because the